Hey guys, welcome back to Weeb Seen It Podcast, episode number 44. My name's Cam.
And I'm Jimmy.
And let's just get into the episode today, guys. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to another week. Welcome back to another podcast. Another kind of big one.
Yeah.
In general, if you guys didn't check out the last episode, it was kind of a mess in like a sense where, you know, we still have 4 or 5 shows going on from last season,
Yep.
and then we have like 16 new shows from this season. We've done it a few times now where we've transitioned from season to season, and it's always kind of messy.
Yeah, with no clear start and end dates, the seasons always overlap just enough to make it a bit of a mess.
Yeah, so one of the things we decided on quickly is that unlike the other seasons where we just pick a list of like 6 to 8 anime and then we watch those shows all the way through, like no matter what, this one we're going to have, I think we have 4 current shows that we'll be talking about every single week. And then after that, each week, we're going to kind of just go back and forth and discuss different episodes of different shows based off what we've both seen up to that date, what we've really enjoyed, what people in the comments are asking for. So just a bunch of different, different deciding factors.
Yeah, a lot more flexibility than previous seasons.
Yeah, more flexibility, more fun. It gives us the chance to drop shows easier if we're not enjoying them. It gives us a chance to pick up shows if people are halfway through saying how good of a show this became. Because we've had examples like that before, but it always seemed a little bit awkward for us just to pick up a show halfway through and start talking about it.
Yeah, this kind of gives a precedent where we can just do that whenever we need to.
Yeah, so it makes it a little easier. It's hopefully going to be a little bit fun. So make sure you guys let us know what you think about that in the comments down below. Before we get into anything else today, of course, we have to go over the question of the week from last week. When I asked this question, I thought it'd be a fun little question. The responses are quite long, so forgive me if I paraphrase some of your comment. But the question of the week was, of course, it was in celebration of the new Isekai series season. We got a lot of Isekai series, so I said that if you got summoned to another world and could bring one character from any anime with you on your journey, who would it be? And then I said, of course, I would be bringing my boy Toto from Jujutsu Kaisen, because we would immediately bond over women, and then we'd become best of friendos. And we'd really bond, we'd kick some ass, we'd have some cool clapping fights, I don't know. Sounds like a great idea. Jimmy, what about you? You got anyone on the top of your head since you didn't answer the question?
I thought about it long and hard, and I just couldn't come up with a proper answer.
You know who I said I thought you'd
Yeah,
bring.
I know. You went straight to my high school crush.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, because it's Yuno, right?
Yeah, back then it was.
Yeah, from Mirai Nikki. Because that's a good choice, though, because if she was into you, she'd be obsessed, right? Like, we saw how effective she was.
Yeah, but she was also scary towards the person she was affectionate towards, and that was the only thought I had in my head.
Yeah, but we're talking let's say this is a real dog-eat-dog kind of world. You need to survive. That's a good partner. Yeah. It's a good partner. So we'll start with Weebacrat. So if he said that's a really hard one, there's lots of characters who I'd love to hang out with. I think he said Chio-chan from Sugakuro. To survive in Isekai, you'd have to be more practical and choose someone. So I think that they have two main choices here. So they said Senku from Dr. Stone. Great pick.
That's a fair choice. If you want to just bring a world from the Stone Age up to modern.
As long as you hope that the Isekai world you're coming in has the exact same physics and everything as our regular world, which they typically would,
The base physics is usually the same. They just insert magic as well, so they never bothered with physics.
To be fair, even something like, I think Realist Hero right now, the other day in one of the episodes, they mentioned that, is it Realist Hero or is it Slime where it's reversed? So it's like the south is cold and the north is hot.
Oh, Realist Hero.
Okay, I was gonna say one of them has a world like that, and that could affect some science things. Just saying, so you never really know.
I mean, that's just a difference in positions of the sun, so it affects things like agricultural science, not necessarily things like what makes stuff go boom.
Though. But yeah, assuming the world has mostly the same kind of system, Senku would be a great choice, obviously. Not only for inventing things, but I mean, he also made ramen and Coke. So.
I mean, yeah, you could revolutionize the world's culinary.
Yeah, you could literally just go in there and just open up a restaurant, a ramen and Coke shop. And then his next one was Ernesti from Knights and Magic. So I did not watch all of Knights and Magic. I did start it though, and it was very much a character was reborn as a baby. I don't even know if he had memories of his past life, but he was obviously very good.
Yeah, was that the one with mechs?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was one with mechs and giant bugs,
giant
bug
know.
creatures.
I remember that one. Okay, that's actually a pretty fair choice.
He was a very intelligent character, not to mention he was also super good at piloting his mech, so it kind of makes sense as well.
I remember he did have the memories of his past life because he was a huge mech otaku.
Yeah, he built all the Gundams and stuff like that, and then he just passed away at some point. I don't remember. It was a show I never finished all the way, but I remember enjoying it. Next up is Cheesecake for Naught said, oh god, this is a hard one. Since I don't know how dangerous that world would be, I would want someone who can stop me from dying the first Ramstorm like an idiot, and who also wouldn't be awful to hang out with, since a lot of anime characters would be pretty insufferable in real life. So what do we got here? We got, visual novels count as anime. I'm going to say sure they do. I do not know much about it. So he says Draken from Sables or Sables Grimoire. Because best girl and she fulfills all criteria. Of course, picking a best girl. Fair enough. I'm surprised you didn't say like Rem or something.
Really, Rem?
Well, she's a great best girl. So she really takes care of you. Not to mention her fighting prowess with her cool spiky ball, also really good.
Really, Rem?
Just saying, not for you, not for me.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused. When did I ever give that it?
I don't know. What else did we say here? So Lindell from Ancient Mage's Bride or Mage's Bride, whatever it is. Because he is chill, can teach magic and dragons. And then Rimuru, because he's super versatile and a generally nice person.
I mean, it's kind of hard to say no to Rimuru.
Assuming Rimuru was as OP in the other world if you brought him with, if he came in as like the slime with all the powers, yeah, of course. But he just came in this time reincarnated as like a little goblin or like a little kid. I don't know.
I mean,
still a nice guy, but
I mean, he did pretty well even at the start when he wasn't completely broken.
That's true. He just had really good luck though as well.
I mean, yeah, but that's usually the case in isekais.
M says, on the assumption that it's a classical fantasy isekai world with monsters and such, I choose Rimuru from Reincarnated as a Slime.
Yeah.
The idea being that he's a friendly character who is resourceful in every way and can make sure I'm protected while I try and grind my own stats up. Also, I bet he has some good mangas up in his head still. Yeah, that's right. He can recreate all the mangas he's ever read. That's useful.
That is actually really true.
Not to mention, like we never saw like understood much of his human side, but his general ability at building a society is really, really good. Like he's building a flourishing city, like even without thinking of his OP-ness, which does also help. But
it's not even a city. He's built a city-state.
Yeah, and it's like one of the most successful places. As we move up in the show. Spoilers, we'll get into that later. Jonah says that would probably be Lord Ainz from Overlord. He is quite overpowered and can't really snatch all the girls because he is a literal skeleton. That's fair. So good point. You want someone good, but you don't want someone who's going to take all the girls from you.
I mean, they still chase him. That's the problem.
Yeah, but they chase him because it's most of the girls who are already obsessed with him, and it's also people who are very much in his circle. So, but if he enters a new area, maybe he's not going to be getting all the bitches. Maybe he's going to save some. He's still got the OP-ness, though.
He is OP, but you have to remember, like, all the mental parts come from someone else.
Yeah, I guess. I
can't remember his name, but the dude with glasses is the one who actually comes up with all the plans. He just thinks Ainz came up with it.
Yeah, like the butler-like character?
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is probably the best answer yet, and it's George Cosman. He says, I'd just be troll and pick Aqua. It's good for two reasons. One, Aqua's completely useless, but then B, also that's literally just recreating the original plot of Konosuba.
It is.
You just take the person because you're like, hey, fuck, I hate this chick. Come with me.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there is the benefit that she can bring you back to life.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess depending on the magic in the world. What if Aqua wasn't the goddess of this world, so she just comes with you? You really just have a generally useless girl who's also annoying.
I mean, she was useless even with worshippers, so
I guess I think that all the answers are good. Whatever you answered, they sound solid. As always, if you guys like the comments of the week, we're gonna have a question down below. It's gonna be the pinned one, so it should be right below when you look down, and then we'll answer all those on next week. And I'll try to make it fun. Originally when we started off, I was trying to just get a lot of general information about how people liked the podcast, how they wanted to run, stuff like different time lengths, different coverages of anime, stuff like that. But now I think we're getting into the more fun questions.
Yeah,
we're on the fun season, so just keep an eye out down below, answer it, and we'll read it out next week. I think, do we have any other big news? I know there's a couple things this week before we get into the actual things. There was a Konosuba presentation. Speaking of Konosuba.
Yeah, they announced another season, didn't they?
Yeah, technically, I think that the exact phrasing or something wasn't another season. It was like another Konosuba Works thing,
So we're getting something in the same world.
It could just be another season. Maybe they just didn't want to come out and say it, or maybe it's like a translation thing. But yeah, there was like a Konosuba presentation, and they came out with that basically like, hey, new Konosuba stuff coming out. So, I mean, that's exciting. I'll probably try to catch up on or rewatch season 2 because I dropped it 5 times.
Yeah, I think I got to the trial arc and I just couldn't go any further.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked Konosuba season 1, and I liked most of season 2, but then every time I got to some parts, I just kept dropping it. So I guess we'll see when season 3 comes out, in case we want to cover it, because I know it's a very popular anime. Yeah, we'll probably rewatch too.
For all we know, it's not even following the same characters. It could be about the other hero guy who got dropped in that world, the one he stole the sword from.
It could be, but I feel like that's not as entertaining. Well, I mean, maybe it could be, but
we apparently didn't find season 2 entertaining. So
that's true. So who knows what we'll like. I'm trying to think of any other news that came out this week. I bought manga the first time in a long time. Did you see what it was?
Yeah, I did. I was actually laughing. It's because we can't cover it for how long.
We cannot, but I was curious. I don't know if the autofocus will even pick it up here, but it is it's Eden Zero. I was at the bookstore. I saw it and I was like, you know, I haven't read a manga in like 5 years. And I used to, every single time I used to get paid, I'd buy like 1 or 2 manga, just fill up my collection. And I was like, hey, you know, we can't watch this for a little while till it comes to Netflix. I was like, I'll give it a try and read it. I also did show my wife a picture of the characters from the cover and then a picture of the characters from Fairy Tail and was like, spot the difference. And she's like, I can't.
Yeah. I remember I read the first few chapters when it was on the Crunchyroll Simul manga thing, whatever it was. It was pretty good, but it was literally the same characters, just different worlds.
Yeah, and you know, I did generally like Fairy Tail. Like I know a lot of people shit on Fairy Tail. A lot of people love Fairy Tail. It's kind of split depending on who you are.
It's a weird topic because like they have a lot of retcons, a lot of power friendship, but it's still entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's always been like enjoyable to watch. So I was like, you know what, if I can get some of that experience back, and plus I haven't read a manga in a long time, so I think I'll just kind of enjoy it no matter what. Just getting back to the the formula, getting back to the art, if you will. So I'm excited for that. I'm trying to think of anything else cool that happened.
Nothing that happened this week. I know there was a bunch of series that got confirmed for something coming up, but they didn't give any dates.
There was a big one. What was it? There's something that's coming out in September, and I was like, Jimmy, this is coming out in September because we're going to be covering it.
I mean, didn't the trailer for Chainsaw Man drop?
It did, yeah. I'm pretty sure that is also fall, but there was something else where I'm like, oh, Jimmy, like we're going to be covering this. Like, but man. now I can't remember what it was. I should have just written it down, put it like tagged it right to the camera.
I'm horrible with this. All the news blends together for me, and then
yeah, I mean, I'm sure that whatever it is, I'm positive it was like another season of like an anime that we were fans of. Obviously, we know in the fall we have Mushoku Tensei. That's not what it was, but it was something that I was really pumped for, and now I can't think of what it was, and it's gonna drive me nuts. If at any point in this episode I just randomly shout out an anime title, you know what that is now. But yeah, since I'm not going to think of it right now, maybe we'll look back into later. Maybe we'll write a comment about it if I figure out what it was.
Just the question of the week. What was the anime I'm thinking of?
Because it's going to bug me if not. But yeah, so just to quickly go over it once again, on today's episode, we will be covering 4 anime. We have My Hero Academia, Tokyo Revengers, To Your Eternity, and then Reincarnated as a Slime. Those will be the same 4 we cover going forward until, I think the first one of those to actually end will be To Your Eternity.
Yeah, because they don't have a full core.
It's 20 episodes. But they will be running until those series end or until they take a break for the next season. And then each week, we might cover some of the same episodes or some of the same series week to week. It just depends on what we've been enjoying. So for the most part in this episode, for instance, I think we're probably going to just cover some of the, we've had like 1, 2, 3 episodes for most series at this point now for summer.
Yeah, most of them are hovering between 2 and 3. I don't think anything's actually hit 4 yet. There was no.
Yeah, so
really
we might just go into, because there's not tons to deep dive into yet, only being in like 2 or 3 episodes in. So we might just quickly cover what our general opinions about the show have been from like episodes 1, 2, 3, possibly if it's come out. So we'll probably on this episode be covering something like the Realist Hero anime, Tsukimichi, another isekai, Remake Our Life is a really good slice of life I've been enjoying. So if we have time, we'll cover one of those. And yeah, we'll basically just cover whatever we have time for, and then that'll be pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. If there's any show that we cover here that you're a big fan of and you want us to talk about more, leave it in the comments. And if there's a show that we do not talk about here that you want us to cover, leave it in the comments. Nothing really changes. Either way, leave it in the comments, and that way we can decide our list ongoing just based off what people want to see. I think without further ado, we have to open up our non-sponsored energy drinks and get into the actual episode. I normally do not drink these now, but... well, on the podcast. Non-anime related news. If you're a fan of our non-sponsored energy drink, 3 new flavors coming out.
Yeah, did we hear that was coming out in Canada yet?
We don't know. We hope so. Maybe one day they'll sponsor us and just give us the white gummy bear flavor.
Yeah, there's white gummy bear, watermelon warlord.
Watermelon warlord and cherry limeade. So
yeah, I don't get why they're doing another watermelon one.
I don't know either. Either way, I'm excited for it. It's non-anime related, but maybe one day it could be anime related when they make like a Rem raspberry flavor. I'm trying to think of what other good ones would be. Like Rimuru Blue. Get that in there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It's got. I mean, I know now that there's like waifu drinks or something. I don't know. There's some sort of like energy drink or like a cup company that does like waifu cups or something.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole line of like Haikyuu water bottles.
I mean, that's a good idea. Makes sense. It's an anime that involves water bottles. I mean, kind of. But yeah, so without further ado today, we are going to start off with, of course, My Hero Academia. I believe this was episode 104.
Yep. Long time no see, Selkie.
So, that title's funny. The main thing about this episode, very much, I'm not going to say filler, because I don't know. Filler technically just means it is content that was not in the manga. I don't know if this content was in the manga, but in like the importance to the story sense, very filler.
Yeah, it was more world building than anything else.
Yeah, I think we knew last episode based off the next time that we were going to get the
Yeah.
Uraraka episode.
I mean, they had to show them at some point because all the other cast is going to get cut to focus on Midoriya, Bakugo, and Todoroki for the next arc.
Yeah, I'm sure that in the manga they probably had like a chapter for each of them kind of thing because you can kind of get through it
Yeah.
faster. You don't need a whole episode. But in general, it was an entertaining episode. You get to learn a little bit about what's going on. One of the main things is the trigger drug.
Yeah, they're talking about how it's actually a really popular drug and how it's actually already circulating in Japan. So.
Yeah, so that's one of the only really important parts of the episode because a lot of it's just about her group. What's the name of their current teacher, like the dragon lady?
Oh, it's Ryu something.
Yeah, because basically their crew gets asked for a team up with what I just said his name.
Selkie.
Yeah, with Selkie to do an operation because there's a boat that was possibly carrying stolen like pharmaceuticals, like stolen chemicals required to make this drug from like a plant or something like that was just like blown up.
Yeah, it was something that was lit on fire in another country, and they're smuggling it through Japan to go to some European country.
Yeah, so that's why. So it's a team up between their two crews because one can fly and then one is obviously very water based.
Yeah, which I just want to note how overpowered is the quirk to just become a goddamn dragon?
Well, I mean, okay, so it's overpowered, I suppose, if dragons are good. But if you've seen shows like anime like Gate, dragons aren't that good. You just get like a tank in there.
Okay, but let's do a quick comparison. You get the traits of a frog or traits of a centipede, or you get to be a dragon.
Listen, traits of a frog seem pretty good so far.
I mean, okay, yeah, but they're just really trying to sell the waifu.
My main issue was this, okay? So when they they're chasing the boat, right? It's just Selkie's team. They use the smoke screen. They're like, well, guys, they got us. Why did Selkie not hop in the water and use it? He even used at one point his sonar thing outside of water. Why did he not just use that to locate the boat?
I don't know. I'm also really confused about how they were able to just vanish.
Yeah, because like I thought later there was going to be like a reveal, like someone's quirk there was like invisibility or something, and that's how they snuck out. The reveal was that they had a plane, but you would have A, seen the plane take off, and then B, for the plane to have taken off, the boat still would have been there. So you can't just, a smoke screen doesn't just make you vanish. You still have to go somewhere.
There's definitely some gap in the logic there, because they could have just waited for the smoke to dissipate. And
they could have waited for that, or as I said, Selkie could have hopped in the water and just like used his sonar and be like, hey, the boat's right there, guys. Just drive in this direction. Because he has the Morse code to directly like link up with the ears girl to be like, hey, it's like right here. And they can just drive their boat there and be like, hey, we got him.
Yeah, he definitely didn't need the team up in that
100%
category.
didn't need to take the time to team up. That's why I was like, okay, this feels kind of forced. They do the team up, and there's a couple nice moments. I mean, not really for anyone in particular. Like, Sue doesn't really do very much. At one point, she like realizes that she kind of makes a mistake, and she hears something, doesn't pay attention to it. And then after when the plane's taken off, she's like, oh shit, like that was the plane. That was the plane they were dropping. And then she tries to hop on, but she doesn't make it. And that's where they fire a freaking harpoon gun with Uraraka on it. She hops on the plane, and then she takes out the guy really easily because he kind of sucks. I guess we don't even know if he had a quirk.
He probably had a quirk, but it's probably one of those things where you need trigger to be usul.
Yeah, and I guess for her, it was just like Uraraka's a good moment to show that maybe her powers are better now. She's able to make the entire plane like gravity free kind of situation. So I mean, it's like a little bit of growth for her, which is nice. But I think for the most part, it's really just the only point of the episode of them just to show us how some of these characters are doing. It's just like, hey, this trigger drug's out there.
Yeah,
it's going to be important to the actual important character story soon. I'm sure.
There was that, and there was the obligatory swimsuit episode for the season.
Oh my god, yeah! When that came out, I was like, he's like, guys, we have to do something. The beach, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? What's going on at the beach, Selkie? And then like the next shot is just them all in the bathing suits. I'm like, how do we fit a beach episode in? It was Christmas episode 2 episodes ago. How do we get from here to here?
Well, they're in like a subtropical area. Like
I know, but you can't just say beach episode all of a sudden midway through when it's like, there's a drug coming out. We need to stop this drug from being released. And they're like, well, like they're not coming out till night probably. They don't even know this for sure. They're like, they're probably hiding till dark.
I mean, rule of thumb for a smuggler would probably be move when it's dark. Although they waited till dusk instead of dark for some reason.
I know, but they're just like, let's get a beach episode out. Like, it felt so like, okay, we really would like these girls in bathing suits real quick. So,
I mean, I feel like it's one of those things like shit's gonna get real for the next few episodes. Or like, here's the lighthearted episode.
Listen, I've been hearing that shit's gonna get real now for the past like 6 episodes since the last arc ended, and nothing's gotten real yet.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we're like 4 filler episodes in. So
yeah, I know. Like, I just feel like so far what I was promised in My Hero hasn't come up yet. I'm not like I still enjoy the episodes each week, but I'm just keep waiting for those like My Hero epic moments where you're like, oh, the anime doesn't get much better than when My Hero is at its all-time high.
Yeah.
But like I just feel like now it's been so long since it was there. Like I feel like when was the the last time would have been when he was fighting like Overload or whatever his name was, and that feels Overhaul, and that feels like a long time ago.
It does. I mean, I will say if you watch the opening, we do get to see a bunch of new villain characters, which I'm kind of excited for.
I mean, I'm always excited for new villains and for having like the main characters do stuff. So like once they end this little kind of filler section here of the obligatory training a little bit, so we can go into the next arc, I'll be pretty pleased.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the little transition between Deku going, it's like, man, our first day was really hard. I can't imagine how it was for everyone else, and they're having cake. It's like,
yeah, it's true. I mean, everyone else is just living a good life, and they spent the entire day just barely catching up to Endeavor. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see where that goes. We get to see like originally when it showed up them starting in the Christmas episode, I was like, how is it Christmas again? It's like we were just at Christmas, and then it's like, oh, it was a flashback. Okay.
Yeah, they led off with that one after credit scene you missed.
Yeah, which is weird because it's been like a whole episode since then. I don't know.
I'm guessing it was just a recap though, like this is what happened with the actual storyline. Now here's some world building. Yeah,
still an enjoyable episode. I love a good beach episode when it just somehow sneaks in there. But it was still very fillery. We got a couple important pieces of information we need about like the trigger drug and some other stuff going on in the world, and that'll help us go into the next arc a little bit better. Hopefully, we're just building up little puzzle pieces at little Jenga pieces at a time until it all comes together as one beautiful puzzle. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess this was just the episode to say like, hey, this is something that exists. So they're not just pulling it out of their ass later?
Yeah, like I know we've seen this drug. It's just I think it had a different name before because it wasn't finished. Like they've used it before. It's just that now it's like it seems like a more complete version.
Yeah, this is the actual drug. So.
Yeah, and then of course they gave us another introduction to who all the kids are with, in case you missed that. Where they're like, oh, this guy, they're with that hero, kind of like quickly,
Yeah, like all the secondary Bakugo squad are with Team Lurker, I think it was.
Yeah, and then the hard boys are with Fat Gum still. Yep. I don't remember. I can't remember them all. The one I found weird is that like I guess was Selkie not doing it again? Was he not doing it this time? Because you think Sue just would have went with him again?
I think it's because they were sending multiple people to each group. I think there weren't that many people that excel at water combat.
Fair.
Because I mean, like think about it. Like you have Sue and who else?
I mean, realistically, could Momo pull a boat out of her chest? And then ride the boat, because then that'd be kind of good at water stuff.
Technically, yeah. I guess you could also pull like a jet ski,
or like a hover. Like those like shoes you put on that shoot the water out of the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like get one of those going.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be pretty taxing and very gimmicky.
I mean, probably isn't that kind of her thing though? Taxing and gimmicky, like that's her whole character.
Yeah, I guess every time she has character development, she ends up passing out. So.
Yeah, so she kind of sucks. We've talked about that before though. But yeah, that's pretty much it for My Hero this week. It's a very, very light episode. It's nice to see some anime characters in swimsuits and to watch a little bit of action, watch a little bit of growth. But I'm definitely excited for when we get back to the main plot, get back to the main boys, and get some villains introduced, kind of get the theme of this arc going forward. So
I got you get back to what the whole Hawks warning them about was about.
Exactly. Once we get back to all that stuff, we'll be pretty good. So hopefully this has just helped us set up a little bit more for that. But if you're a fan of My Hero, of course, just keep an eye out. We'll be talking about the show going forward. I don't know how many episodes are left, but we'll be covering it for the rest of season 5. So just keep an eye out, and we'll be talking about My Hero next week. Next up on today's list is, of course, Tokyo Revengers. And I do not remember what episode it is. 14? 15? 15. So 15.
No Pain, No Game. And I just realized it's been 3 episodes since they did the whole thing. And
maybe that was like the first part, now, because that was like.
I think they ran out of words.
No. Now it's changed. This episode, I had a little bit of like that. That Takemichi. I know Takemichi's dumb. We talk about it all the time, but so much of the episode.
This is another level.
Yeah, so much of the episode. I'm like Takemichi. Like, how is this gonna go right for you? Like,
my favorite part is that they open up with the whole like he knows nothing.
Yeah.
He joined a gang. He doesn't know like how it's structured. He doesn't know like who Kisaki is in regards to how he came in. And then his friend, the guy with glasses who hasn't done a single thing this whole series, is just like, yeah, I know everything.
Yeah, he's the delinquent specialist.
I guess. I mean, you think he would have known that when they were going to fight the other kids that they were going to get their asses kicked?
I think they did know they were going to get their asses kicked. They just didn't have any choice, Oh, you mean like originally?
Like in the very, very first episode where they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to go to this school and beat up these kids.
Well, yeah, I guess it's just because those kids didn't show up. Instead, you just got like third year showed up. So I guess you can't really 100% plan for that. But
I mean, I don't know.
Listen, he's a delinquent specialist in theory, when it comes to sitting at the desk and talking about it. When it comes to showing up, maybe it's different. But we leave off where we left off last episode, of course, where, he's now given like a job by Mikey with some relatively high stakes. Of course, if he gets Baji, so it's with a J. I think last time we thought it was Bahi or something.
Yeah, I think
close.
So.
It's like Baji. So if he gets Baji back from Valhalla back to Toman, then he proves he is more useful than Kisaki, and then Mikey will kick Kisaki out, which is exactly what Takemichi wants. Of course, if he fails, Mikey will kill him. Now, to be fair, this show uses the term "kill someone" every episode, and I've yet to see someone be actually killed.
I mean, fair, someone tried.
Draken was going to be killed, and like originally you're like, okay, Osanai was pretty close to being killed as well. He was also stabbed by Pa. But in general, though, like I don't actually believe Mikey would kill Takemichi. So I know that like Mike, you're supposed to be like, Mikey's not a good guy. Like you could see that he would do some shit, but I don't think he would kill Takemichi for that.
I mean, he did kind of piss off the gang by attacking someone at his own naming ceremony.
He did, but I still don't think. I'm talking like maybe he'd kick his ass. I think that they just use kill sometimes a little too often.
I mean, I feel like Mikey kicking Takemichi's ass might kill him.
Maybe, but I feel like you'd still like Draken would stop him before anything goes too crazy.
I mean, probably, yeah.
And he's still Draken owes him his life still technically, so he'd have to back him up even just to back him up to stop him from dying.
Yeah, just like that. Okay, debt's repaid. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, but so that's the setup, and then of course Takemichi's at school, and he's like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do this. He's like, how? He's like, I know nothing, and that's where his friends come in. They're like, oh, you're officially like a member of Tome, and he's like, sure I am, yeah. And then that's where his friend starts giving the lesson. He starts explaining how like the Tome was originally founded. There's the 5 different divisions. Each of the divisions are run by like the different person. Kisaki now actually part of the new leader. The 3rd division has the largest because he brought over, I think it was
50 Tomen,
50 members of Mobius, and the whole of Tomen right now is 150. So he in his one division has 1/3 of the people.
Yeah.
And then they mentioned Valhalla being actually they have 300 total in Valhalla, and how the Valhalla kind of leader system semi works. And while they're explaining this, we're getting some scenes of someone else walking to the school, asking some girls where like Takemichi is.
Yeah, I do like how their reaction to seeing this kid was like, man, he's really cute, and it's like he's got like the multicolored hair and
multicolored hair, tattoo on his neck, like kind of crazy eyes. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but I mean like. I feel like they would just be more scared of the kid with the big like neck tattoo.
Yeah, I feel like those girls have a very dark future ahead of them.
Yeah, but
who the hell is tattooing all these freaking middle schoolers, by the way?
I don't know. Like, listen, I do not know enough about Japanese gang culture to say, because like most of what you see from like Japanese shows, even most anime and stuff like that, Japan's a pretty, like it's got a pretty good like crime rate in Japan and stuff like that. Like pretty solid. Seems like a nice place. But then whenever you have a show that like wants to be like, oh, but there's gangs, like they go hard. Like I don't know if we're really tattooing 12-year-olds.
Yeah, especially considering the one guy wasn't even like a gang member at that point. Like Draken was just like a kid who beat up other 12
yo, give me a head tat.
Yeah, it was like, okay, yeah, the dude like grew up in a brothel. He didn't have the best life, but like you're really just gonna tat him like that? Just
yeah, like it's a little unbelievable sometimes, but I guess it's just for the point of the story. So we'll go ahead and say that that's how it works.
I guess I'm sure I could go out and find at least one tattoo artist who just doesn't give a fuck. But
yeah, I'm sure you could find probably many, but
like to the point of like, okay, I'll tat a 12-year-old, sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's the whole like Japanese tattoo culture being like linked to like Yakuza. I don't know. Maybe they're like, hey, Yakuza people, give me a tattoo. I don't know.
I mean, I guess I still feel like a lot of them would be like, "You sure about this, kid?"
Yeah, I feel like the guy probably asked even Draken if he's positive. Draken's like, "Yeah, I'm sure."
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay, sure, man, you got it." But yeah, so as Takemichi gets his lesson, this character comes in and he's like, "Hey, you Takemichi?" He's like, "I sure am." He's like, "Okay, come with me. I'm part of Valhalla." And he's like, "Oh fuck." He's like, and then the guy's like, "Oh, come on." He's walking with his 2 guys, and both of them have broken legs. And he's like, "Hey, like, are those guys cool? Like, their legs sure seem broken." He's like, "Oh yeah, I broke those legs." He's like, "Oh, but you just said they were like your close people." And he's like, "Yeah,
most trusted people." And it's like, "Oh."
He's like, "Yeah, sure." And then Takemichi's like this feels like a bad idea. Like for a second, he's like, this seems like a stupid idea. He wants to take me to the Valhalla headquarters, but then of course he realizes that like, hey, Baji will be there. I have to get him back. Seems like a good time to get him back. He looks down. He looks down. He sees Hina, and he gets like, he's like, yes, this is what I got to do.
Yeah, I want to know how he thought he was going to convince Baji to come back in front of the gang he just tried to join.
He's not the smartest. This is where we get back to him not being too clever. I mean, like to be fair, it does seem like a pretty hard task considering he has only ever met this guy like 2 times. One of them, they didn't really even meet. They were just fighting in the same kind of area. The other time, it was him getting his ass kicked by him for really no reason for his perspective anyways.
I mean, true.
And then, but so he's like, I'm going to meet him for the 3rd time, somehow convince him to leave the gang he's currently with to come back to our gang while the entire gang's around him. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know how Takemichi thinks it's going to go, but in my mind, I think it's going to go poorly while watching this.
Yeah, I'm surprised none of his friends are like, dude, you no.
I think I feel like the really important part here is the Valhalla. They're called like the Headless Angels or something like that because they like no one knows who the leader is. It's like secret. They have like the sins are like that, but no one knows who the leader is.
Right.
But I mean, like, come on, the leader's got to be Kisaki, right?
Oh God, of course.
It's got to be secret leader Kisaki, fucking over Toman from the inside. But yeah, I mean, like they mentioned that, and then as we get to the actual place, they go into like the old rundown arcade. You get the gang, and you have like the front part is like the classic, like there's different like levels of chairs, and like there's different guys in them.
Yeah.
So you get a little bit of some of these leaders from Valhalla. You don't get much. Like one guy's blonde with like the face mask on. One guy, like I mean, obviously there's Hanma, whatever his name is that we saw before, who's like the acting commander kind of thing, or the temporary one. And they show like 2 other guys too, but they show them really, really fast.
Yeah, not a lot of detail on them, but I don't think that's really the important part of this.
No, that's not that important part. And then as Takemichi walks in, there's just Baji on the ground, just beating some dude to shit. Just like bashing his face in, and then Takemichi's like, "Oh, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh yeah, this is like our test of faith, right? Like that's his old like commander for like not commander,
yeah,
but
second in command.
Yeah, his second in command of his 1st division, and he's just like kicking the shit out of him to prove that he's like, yeah, I'm done with Toman.
Yeah,
and then of course like we're like Takemichi's like, oh shit, like am I another test of faith? Like am I about to get my ass kicked by Baji? Yeah. And even like Baji looks and he's like, oh, what are you doing here, idiot? And he's like, and then everyone around's like, oh, kill him, and Takemichi's like, oh fuck, like I'm screwed. But then instead they just need him as a witness. So that's good, at least just a light witness.
Yeah, even then it was just like, what did he say last time at the meeting? It was like that he was leaving.
Yeah, Takemichi's like that he was done with Toman and he was going to Valhalla. Like, I mean, there's not really that much, and they're like, okay.
Yeah, that seems like a kind of a pointless reason to bring someone into your headquarters.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we haven't seen Takemichi leave the headquarters yet, so
I mean, true.
It might not be as easy as them being like, well, thanks, man. You good witness. Now you gotta. I feel like the reason to let him go though is because he needs to tell about how like Baji beat up the one commander or like the second in charge and like say all that kind of shit. Like he's the witness for like both kind of things.
True.
Because he's relatively unimportant, being like the newest person just signed up kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm sure the fact that Baji's already kicked his ass probably lends to that as well.
Yeah, and then of course the main setup for this part though is then at one point Takemichi steps in and he says like, "Oh Baji, you can't do this. You can't leave Toman. You're one of the founding members." And the Baji's like, "Huh? I can't leave Toman because I'm a founding member. Well, guess what? That guy's also a founding member, idiot." And then Takemichi's like, "Oh yeah, that's the fucker from the picture I saw one day ago that I could not remember for some reason."
Yeah, it's not like he has a very distinctive tattoo or marking or something like that.
Takemichi literally mentions when he looks at the picture, which was like the day before, as far as we know, that the guy has like a tiger tattoo. He has a tattoo in the neck, yet he does not notice. This is why he's a dumbass.
I guess he has a slightly different hairstyle and it's got blonde in it, so he just didn't register.
I guess. But yeah, so you find out that, and then we quickly see a flashback of like them, getting together. They're all like 12. I think one of them's like 13. And then they're they're getting their jackets for the first time, and they're going out there asking someone to take the picture for them. And they're taking the picture. It's like the founding of the Tokyo Manji gang.
Yeah.
And then I assume next week we're gonna probably find out what went wrong. Obviously, a couple of key details here. We know that at one point, the guy mentions that he did miss a couple of years of school because he went to juvie. Yep. And then when he's asked about it, he specifically says that it's all his fault kind of thing. Yeah, we're probably going to guess that's Mikey's fault.
Yeah, Mikey did something that got him arrested, and that's probably why he was so upset about Pachin going to jail.
Yeah, probably why he didn't want to let it happen again kind of situation, which makes sense. The other big thing, too, is that if we're looking back from last week, Baji, we were wondering, like, what is his issue with something that happened here? And they mentioned that they kind of skate around it, and I still don't 100% know. I guess we'll have to see when we get in here. But like, it still doesn't necessarily make sense with the story because they mentioned that like Baji wasn't supposed to come to this meeting because like he would have an issue with someone, and we were just kind of assuming it must be like Kisaki somehow, or something along those lines. But I guess we're gonna find out more in this like past time when we see what happened with this guy with Mikey. Yeah, and that'll kind of explain it more. And then Takemichi's got quite the task ahead of him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's gonna pull this one off.
I feel like he would somehow have to convince the other guy to come back too by mending his relationship with Mikey and then hoping Baji comes over again as well.
Just like go through it all. It's like, wait, it actually turns out it was Kisaki's fault. It's like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how he's going to manage to do this. because it can't go that well for him because nothing could be easy for Takemichi, or else like he'd solve all the problems way too fast.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, I do know that the Valhalla arc is like the rest of this season. So like I'm excited to get into it. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more of these Valhalla commanders as well.
Sure.
Because they kind of showed up really quick. And then, get to hear more about this whole like headless angel situation, the secret leader. I don't know if they're going to keep that for like a long time from now, or...
I mean, if it's their whole shtick, I don't think they're going to give it up too quick.
I mean, I genuinely think that they might not know, other than maybe like the commanders or maybe like Hanma or something like that probably knows, considering in the future he's also working for/with Kisaki.
Yeah, it kind of gives it away, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was still a really entertaining episode. There's always that little bit of dread because you're like, Takemichi's a dumbass and he's just walking into this awful situation.
How's he going to get put in the hospital this week?
Yeah, I mean, like, I get that. I'm excited for him to grow as a character, but he still hasn't really done anything yet to do it. Like, every time he's like, I need to become better, I need to become more useful, but he's not like going there asking for someone to teach him how to fight yet, or like,
yeah,
he's not like actively trying to get smarter, like learn more about his enemies.
Yeah, he hasn't even learned anything about his own gang, let alone about other groups.
Yeah, so he's just not doing everything the right way. But I guess maybe that's something that's likable about the show. And a lot of times you're supposed to really like the main character, and they're always like the best or like the smartest at this, or like.
Normally they have something going for them.
Yeah, Takemichi doesn't really, other than his like time traveling ability, which we don't understand yet at all. But that's really the only thing he has, or else he would be fucked multiple times by now.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised at the thought of like, hey, maybe I'll just look up the lottery numbers, get a shit ton of money, just buy my way out of the problem.
Not a bad idea,
I mean, it's better than his current trade of thought.
Just win like a couple million. Just like, you know what, Hina, take this money. You guys move away.
Yeah, how about you guys go overseas?
Yeah, on me. Don't worry about it. And then, he has a little bit left. He wins the next lottery, too. And then he just takes himself out, too. Boom, done. Yeah. Maybe buys Draken a car, tattoo removal. And then, boom.
Why a car?
I don't know. Draken seems like he'd like a car.
I feel like he just like a better bike.
I don't know, maybe. But yeah, every single time we talk about Tokyo Revengers, we always have 1,000 different ways where Takemichi could do everything better. It's never going to work, so we have to stop dreaming about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the problem with winning a bunch of money is that changes the timeline too much, so he never would have gone back. And
yeah, I don't know, maybe if that's how the time travel works.
We don't even know how that actually works in that regard, do we?
No idea.
Like, do we even know what would happen if something happened to Naoto?
No idea.
Like, would he just not be able to do it anymore? Just go into the future, it's like, oh, Naoto died 3 weeks ago.
No, you just go dig him up, give the body a little shake,
Well, they don't bury people in Japan. It's cremation.
Well, you have the ashes a little shake, just pour them on your hand. I don't know.
Jesus.
But yeah, so if you guys were a fan of this Tokyo Revenger episodes, leave a comment down below. Of course, we'll be checking it out. I think it's a 24 episode season, so we still have quite a few left. We got like 9 episodes left or something along those lines to finish off this Valhalla arc. So we'll be making some predictions as we go along as to how the season's going to end when we get a little bit more information. But yeah, it's a very enjoable show, and I'm assuming if you guys are watching this part, you've already checked it out. But if for some reason you're watching this and you haven't, then you definitely should before the first season finishes. Yeah, because I know that from what I heard, the show's doing really well. The manga series does like really, really well. So
yeah, sure.
So yeah, we'll be talking about that next week and ongoing until the season's over. Next up is 2 Year Eternity, and I don't remember what episode that was. Episode 14.
Janda, Island of Freedom. I feel like it's Jananda. Am I corrected?
I think it is Jananda. Okay, so obviously last week we leave off. He gets tricked onto this island with Piorin. We're really trying to figure out last week how the fuck this island works. I think we have a slightly better idea how it works now.
They gave us an idea, but it still seems kind of off.
It still seems off, and I still think the girl is a terrible character.
I mean, yeah, she literally just tricked some random kid to come here in the hopes that something good would happen.
So this is like a prisoner island where like killing is legal in like a sense. It's like a purge island, if you will.
Yeah, it's lawless.
It's basically lawless. There are some laws. Basically what it is, though, the leader of the island, so like the island chief, gets to make all the rules, decide what he wants. He gets to go off the island if he wants, that kind of stuff. And all they do is, because it's such a lawless island and you typically have these chiefs getting killed every like so many weeks.
Yeah, they said the longest they typically last is 2 weeks.
Yeah, so since you have them, die every 2 weeks or so, there's a big tournament held to, whoever wins gets to become the next island chief. And then these kids were hired by someone or told about Fushi's, immortality ability. So they specifically went there, got him there to then become the island chief, because him being immortal means not only will he definitely win the tournament because you just have to be the last one alive,
Yeah.
and he cannot die. And then B, that means he'll also be a chief like eternally, like permanently there,
Yeah.
instead of them having to swap all the time. And then these kids will be able to get whatever they want, I suppose.
True. Now, were they told about his immortality ability? Because I thought she was just told to bring him there.
I feel like they were told something about it.
Because they seemed pretty freaked out when they saw him.
They seemed relatively like shocked actually seeing it in person, but I do not think shocked enough for a person seeing it for the first time.
I mean,
like,
true, yeah.
I think they're like, wow, that is crazy to see in person, but like you must know something.
That moment of like, oh yeah, okay, it is true.
The funny part was that our prediction last time that like when he meets like a familiar face or whatever, our prediction was, I can't remember what her name was, Patrona, I think.
Yeah, Patrona.
Our prediction was like Patrona. They just showed like a hooded figure in the last one, and it as soon as they mentioned that like they picked Fushi up for like a reason, I was like, oh, it's not fucking Patrona. I was like, it's that stupid bitch.
Yeah, it's the one with the big freaking
It's the spear
face scar.
Yeah, it's the spear bitch from the first arc. Same arc with Patrona. And then yeah, at the one point she walks up to him while he's sleeping and like licks his face. I'm like, man, chick's got some issues now. Fushi gave her some real issues when their thing was solved like 5 years ago. I must admit, she looks cooler with the long hair and the scars now, though.
I mean, you're not wrong, but still, she's just insane at this point.
Yeah, we're going to learn more about her next episode and what's been going on with her, because she's got some weird stuff. She's also competing in the tournament. She's just in like a different block. She's doing well. She did the weird face lick for Fushi. And then a lot of this episode is like Fushi trying to, I love the emotion, right? He's not only is he pissed off, he's just fucking like annoyed, and I'm with him. I mean, he like explains, like these kids are all just like, hey, this is like the life we live. Haha, like people die all the time. It's illegal to kill here. Like, get over it kind of thing. Like, oh, when you win this tournament, like we'll be able to leave the island. If I was him, I'd be like, when I leave this tournament, I'm going to fucking just arrest you guys, you little cocks. I hate you.
I'm going to specifically make sure you die before I go.
Yeah, but even like Fushi's like, I hate you guys. He's like, stop following me. He's like, I hate how you guys just like smile even though this place sucks. And then the girl like laughs at him, and then later she's like, yeah, I'll forgive you for that comment. And I'm like, shut the hell up. Like, I hate you.
I'm waiting for Fushi to snap and backhand someone. Like,
I wanted to. I liked in this episode when he pulls out the bow and he's just shooting at the birds for like a little while. You know, he's shooting at the birds, trying to get the flying form because he's still like, I'm gonna save Pyorin kind of thing. You know, we do learn that like prisoners are allowed to walk free on the island, but like apparently she's being held special because she's like killed a bunch of people in the past. She was, when we first met her, she was like a fugitive or like a captive.
Yeah, she apparently poisoned a bunch of Yanome. And
yeah, so I'm assuming the Yanome girl talked about that. So she's being held for reasons I'm sure also have more to do with Fushi, whatever her general plan with Fushi is, other than to lick his face while he's sleeping.
Yeah, I'm still confused by that. Although I am curious, like, why is it being a mass murderer makes you bad here, where it's legal to just kill as many people as you want?
I don't really know. I don't understand. You still have to do something illegal to get on the island, but yeah, like killing 8 people like shouldn't get you special treatment. That's why I think it's more about the Fushi situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think she killed like 20 through poisoning, but even so, like we saw people like they're just murking the freaking announcers.
Yeah, they're just killing like the people for no reason. The guy's just like, hey, tournament's about to start, arrow in the back.
To be fair, it was kind of annoying.
That's true. The next girl had like arrow guards around her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that some of the fun parts of this were just him getting pissed off. Even like he calls the one guy, like, you know, the little god guardian guy, and he's like, hey, can you just fucking help me out here? Like, help me get pure. And he's like, I can't help you with that. He's like, that's kind of a you thing.
Yeah, I only help if it makes you stronger. Like,
yeah, and then Fushi's struggling with the thought of having to kill people, and then you know, the guy explains like, hey, he's like, you've already killed people. And he's like, you know, you killed that Gugu kid. And he's like, I didn't fucking kill Gugu. And he's like, like your actions led to his death. It's the same shit. And he basically goes on about how like some people choose to die before their time, and that's kind of like up to them. So there's nothing you really do about it. And it's like, he's like, hey, people entering the arena, they're literally choosing the option of death to then further their standing. Like they're making the choice of like, hey, I could die, but I'm gonna die to do this. Yeah. So he's like, so it's not really your fault. So
you're willing to give up your life to try and achieve something is the idea.
I mean, Gugu still doesn't actually kill anyone in any ways. Like in his original round, the one guy just like
I think he realized like, I don't think I could win this. It's just like, I'm hungover, and just laid down.
Yeah, he just laid down. And then in the next one, in the 1v1, of course, how we finish the episode is, you know, he's fighting. And Fushi could beat him multiple times, but he's choosing not to, right? He just keeps trying to convince the guy to like, you know, bow down, to stop. Yeah. That kind of stuff. He keeps changing to different forms. While he's changing forms, he's like, I wish I could find like some form that would help me out here. And he slowly has the memories of like March coming back, but March is still out of his reach kind of thing. And then of course, as he takes the shape of the arm, I'm like, oh, like is this like he's gonna somehow keep March's form even though like she's gone from the memory? I was like, oh, how's he gonna do this kind of thing? And then of course he becomes the form of Patrona. And as we kind of guessed before, he definitely gains some knowledge of whatever they had.
Yeah. Oh god.
Because
Yeah.
he very quickly, he's like, oh, my body's light as a feather. You know, the one guy he was fighting became an absolute simp immediately.
Which the guy was a little creepy because I'm pretty sure he was a cannibal.
Yeah. At the one point where he took the bite and then ate it, he's like, am I immortal now? I'm like, I don't think so, bud.
I don't think.
know if
Yeah,
that's how
it
it
doesn't
works.
work that way.
But yeah, so becoming a Patrona was interesting for a couple reasons. So the big question is she dead?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that means.
Because like he fully admitted in like the last episode that he can only take things forms like living things once they've died, or at least that's how it seems so far. But this was also like I don't know. This was like a different kind of transformation, like a sense. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't the same as always. Every time it's like the person just died and then he just like becomes them right after all the emotions are strong. This
Yeah.
time it was like reflecting on a memory he couldn't even actually remember. But it's like he couldn't remember, like he couldn't grab onto the March memory because it wasn't there. So he like found something right beside it and became her. But
Yeah, because he still remembers everything that happened around March. He just has a big blank spot where she was.
so is she dead? Is the big question, I suppose.
I kind of want to say yes. I want to say the spirit chick got her at some point.
Yeah, I assume that until we're told otherwise, we can assume that she's dead. Maybe when we have an interaction in the next episode between the two characters, she'll be like, haha, I went back to that village after I killed them all. Just to like try and search for
Yeah.
you kind of situation. Like, you know, we might get something along those lines. Just seeing what her plan is in general is going to be interesting. And then seeing if the show tries to redeem some of these kids. Because, you know, it seems like they could be like, hey, like this could be like Gugu, or this could be like Fushi's next crew kind of situation.
See, the thing is, I don't think they're going to do that because I think these kids are meant to just die here.
I mean, none of the other kids seem that bad. Like, they're all like, hey, you know, it's a shitty place, but like, you just go work with what you got. But like, the girl is just so annoying.
Yeah, the leader is the annoying one.
Yeah, I mean, like, they don't even like, they're not like, hey, let's get this guy to like us kind of situation so that when he becomes the chief, because like, Fushi does not like them at all. So like, what makes them think that when he becomes the chief, he's just going to be like, yeah, I guess I'll give special treatment to these kids because they kidnapped me. Like,
yeah, I feel like they think because they brought him there and they're acting as brokers that they'll just get to dictate what he does.
Yeah, I don't, maybe, I mean, obviously they try to make like a quick penny off him in this in different situations too, like with, you know, come touch him for like 2 silvers kind of thing, like, you know. I'm excited for the next episode. I liked the arena stuff, even though it was like done really quick. Like I thought it was going to take longer in it. I loved when he became a mole.
That moment where he got bit by a random mole and killed
Yeah,
it.
he like sensed something like, you know, burying there, so he grabbed it, bit it, immediately killed it. And he like turns back to Fuji. He's like, no, please don't die. And then it dies, and he's like, oh. And then he's like, wait a minute, and then he turns into the mole. He's like, why can't I see anything? He's like, I got a sense of where it goes though. And then he's just about to like bury, and like, oh, this is how he's like gonna mole his way in. But then the owl picks him up and then drops him at the arena.
Which I want to know, like, what the hell was with that owl?
Smart owl, dude. I don't know.
It just like went like, oh, that's the dude I'm looking for. Cool.
And then it literally brings him to where he needs to be brought for the kids. That's a smart owl. I'd kill that thing really soon. Get that owl power. I hope it happens.
That's what happens next.
I hope it happens by the end of this
Because I mean,
little arc.
I'm pretty sure that would count as stimulation. So he just needs it to die now.
Yeah, now he just needs it dead. It could be easily done.
Which did you watch the next time?
No.
Okay, I think we're done with the tournament arc. Is all I'm gonna say.
Already?
Yeah.
I guess, but I don't know. We'll wait and see, I suppose. But I don't know. I am liking this little. I like the whole like prison island arc. It's kind of cool. I don't 100% understand like all the ideas behind the plan. You know, like if I like trying to guess, obviously the chick from Yanome is like, hey, it doesn't even make any sense because like she's like, I need Fushi to be brought here, kind of thing, and I need you to make him go in the tournament so he can be village chief. But then she's also competing in the tournament herself. So
Well, I don't think the tournament was part of the deal. I think she told them to bring Fushi to the island, and then she was going to become chief to like restrain Fushi.
But like, would her becoming chief really restrain him that much? And could she not have also just worked on restraining him when she walked up and he was sleeping instead of licking him?
Well, I think it's more the idea she has an idea that he doesn't want to kill.
I mean, maybe I don't know. I can't like the whole part I'm talking right now is I just can't really 100% figure out her plan or like the kids' plan. Like they're just like, hey, we want this guy to be village chief so we can get off the island. But as we've mentioned before, like, you know, they were off the island. I know that they still have the one mark, like it's just the family members of prisoners like that. But I mean, like,
They're still going to have that.
realistically, yeah, you would just put a glove on and like I'm like, you were off the island. I don't understand still.
Yeah, we
like,
haven't seen anything about people like inspecting hands. It's like, you're new to this town. Let me see.
Yeah, we've seen no one inspect Fushi's hand upon him entering anywhere. So
Well, to be fair, the one dude is like, wait, you don't have a brand. What the hell are you doing
yeah,
here?
on like the prison island. So I don't understand why that girl did not just like leave.
And there's still the question of like, did you not realize this? Wait, if we branded them in the hold, did someone just miss this kid?
I think that he thought that this person was accidentally taken on and like wasn't branded or something. I don't know. But you think that everybody would have been branded in there, but
Yeah, like maybe the guy doesn't know how it works. He doesn't realize that they're actually branded on the boat, because that seems like a really easy system to avoid.
there's just a couple different parts, but this whole little arc that just like to me don't always make sense. And I'm like, okay, like I feel like there's like lore to this area that I'm just not getting, and they're not really explaining because they're like it's not important.
Yeah.
But I think like that's the biggest issue this so far. But you know, I like Fushi right now. I like sassy, grumpy Fushi.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of it. And I hope we get to see. You know, we hope keep that going. You know, especially when he meets the Yaname girl again, brings back some memories. He obviously doesn't have all the memories of like the march, but he's gonna have some sort of related ones. So
And he might have them back soon.
might have him back soon. Oh, is the next one? Does the frickin' thing come from on the island?
Yeah, there's knockers in the next episode.
Okay, so knockers come. You know, what if the girl becomes a good guy? I know that typically you don't ever come back from face licking while sleeping, but like,
I mean, let's go back further. You don't typically come back from shooting a little girl with an arrow.
yeah, I guess, but I mean, you know, she was already gonna sacrifice March anyway, so what difference does it make by shooting her with an arrow? To be fair, she wasn't trying to shoot March with the arrow.
Oh, okay.
March hopped in the way.
Okay, that is true. But you also don't get to come back from trying to sacrifice little girls.
I guess. I guess since she knew it was kind of bullshit anyways.
Yeah, she openly acknowledges, like, yeah, she's just gonna die here. Maybe get eaten by a bear.
Maybe get eaten by a bear. Yeah, I guess. But you know, what if she comes back? What if she becomes a good guy? What if she helps him fight the knockers?
Maybe she will. Maybe she'll fight them because she wants to kill Fushi herself.
Maybe. Or I don't know, I feel like the face lick now, she's obsessed with him. You know, it's beyond she doesn't just want to kill him anymore. There's something different, you know?
I don't even know. Maybe she's a knocker.
Twist. Maybe we'll find our next episode. Right now, we're just kind of throwing a lot of things in the dark here. Either way, entertaining episode. You gotta love a good mini tournament arc, even if it only takes place in one quick episode and none of the characters mattered. All I'm saying is that I really hope that in the next episode the owl dies, and that's where I'll leave it to your eternity. If you're a fan of the show, make sure to keep watching. We still have another, I think, 5 episodes left until the show's done, so I think that's just enough time to finish this arc. Maybe get some sort of small conclusion with some of the knockers and the March and Oniguma missing, and then maybe set up a second season. Hopefully.
Yeah,
it's too early to say, but maybe when we finish the finale, we'll set something up and we'll be able to talk about it then. And until then, we'll be talking about it next week, and that's about it. Next up and last up for our official weekly anime is, for the first time ever, technically, Reincarnated as a Slime, and it's season 2, episode something, because I guess it's the continuation.
Yeah,
season 2, part 2, episode 2.
Yeah,
I believe 222.
A meeting between humans and monsters.
So it's kind of disappointing that, you know, we started talking about Reincarnated as Slime because the show's getting really hype, and then when we start talking about it now, it's about like just delegations going on at like a meeting. It's just like characters meeting.
It has a lot of implication to world building.
Yeah.
It has a lot of implications about what's about to happen.
Yes. But how much fun is that for people to listen to about what's about to happen? When it happens, wow, right? Okay, we're talking like Rimuru is about to start like an all-out war with fellow Demon Lord Clayman. Which is big because Clayman also currently has like a 3 Demon Lord alliance between him, Mirim, whatever her name is, and then
Elam, yeah.
What the hell's the blonde girl's name?
Blonde girl?
It's the one we just saw briefly. She came up, put the knife to the animal Demon Lord's throat. She just came back.
Was it blonde or I thought she had platinum hair?
I thought she was blonde, but either way, she's
Maybe.
like Cleo, something along those lines. They have a three-person Demon Lord alliance, kind of a big deal. And then, of course, in this episode, it's been so long since I watched season 1, so I remember like the clowns, and them doing all sorts of sussy shit. And then like in this one, they like reveal who was the person like behind it, who's like the person kind of dealing with them and all this kind of shit. And you find out it's the human dude who likes manga. I was like, no.
I mean, it was pretty sketchy at the start.
No, but he was like sketching like he's kind of funny. Like he's got some secrets, but like, you know, he also likes manga. So
I mean, yeah, how's that not evil?
I just like listen. And when they said it originally, I was like, no, not him. And then even like I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a big twist when they find out. And Rimuru in his mind's like, okay, who could have told them about this information? It could have only been him. Okay, well, it's him.
I mean, to be fair, he didn't tell that many people, and most of them are in his direct employ.
Yeah. I mean, mainly because, like, yeah, he was basically thinking about, like, hey, when I fought, I can't remember her name, Hina Hanagaki or whatever her name is.
There's only so many people know that he killed her.
Yeah, that he killed the lady with the mask originally back in season 1. I mean, he didn't really kill her.
He put her out of her misery.
Yeah, as we know from we watched it. But, you know, earlier on in the season, like at the end of last part of the season, when he's having his fight with the one girl, she's fighting him, being like, hey, like I know that you killed this person, like that was like my mentor, my hero, so I'm like pissed off at you. And he's like, no, he's like, I am also fellow Japanese. It's like, hello. And she's like, I don't know, you're lying. He's like, no, I swear. And he has this big fight. He just makes it out, and that's where obviously his villagers die and that kind of stuff. So in this episode, upon reflecting about like how she could have possibly known that he had killed the mentor, he's like, I only told so many people, and out of those people, and then even like his what's it called now? It's called Raphael, I think.
Yeah, Raphael.
Raphael comes in and is like, yeah, it's got to be him. And he's like, I hate to say it, but it's true. It has to be him.
I mean, we knew it wouldn't take him much to figure it out because he does have access to Raphael.
Yeah, he's pretty. You thought he was OP in season 1.
Yeah, everything just got a huge upgrade.
Yeah, he's very OP now. Obviously, Demon Lord. Pretty cool. He's got a slightly new look. So he's like a little taller. That's mainly it, really.
Yeah, I mean, he looks more powerful.
I'm a big fan of Veldura. Obviously, he came in starting last episode. We get his human form, just like the blonde, big Jack dude. Very funny, very loud, outgoing. Big fan of that. I like how every single time he's introduced, like when they're in the meetings, they're like, oh, like this is him, by the way. They're all like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I can't remember what his name is, but the way he just reacted to everything that was going on, it's like, wait, you're a demon lord? Wait, that's Veldura?
Like the guild master guy with like the platinum strip. Yeah, he just like passes out at one point. It's like, yeah, okay.
I mean, I think that's the most reasonable reaction to all the shit he says.
Yeah.
Like even when he rolls up, it's like, I only have this many soldiers. It's like, oh, don't worry, I've already annihilated that army. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, I already killed all those 10,000 guys. Or it's cool. Like it's done. Oh yeah, because obviously in this we're getting the meeting. We got Dwargon or whatever his name is of like the dwarves.
Yeah, which I don't know why his design bugs me because he's so freaking tall.
Because he's like 6'5" and jacked, and you're like, wait, what are dwarves? All the other dwarves you see look like dwarves.
Yeah, like maybe they're a little taller than your typical fantasy depiction, but like this dude is huge.
It bugs me because like there are dwarves that like they're kind of funny sometimes when they're like small and stuff like that. But like they've made some dwarves and like I think like the Hobbit for instance.
Yeah.
Like Thor and Oakenshield, he is like manly, tough, but yeah, he's still dwarf size. But that's not like you're still like okay, like this guy's so tough, or like even being like 4 feet.
You don't have to be tall to make me think I don't want to fuck.
Yeah,
with you.
for like this, them being like, yeah, he's a dwarf, he's sure is tough, but we're still gonna make him full size though. We don't like.
Maybe it's like the right of the king, like he's the only one who gets to stand tall.
Maybe, but I feel like that's insulting to the race. Being like, hey, the best of your race is actually gonna be tall though, because like being short sure does suck.
I don't know.
I agree with you. It always kind of upsets me a little bit.
Maybe it's like magic, or maybe he's like just like walking on stilts the whole time.
And I swear to God, the one guy was like an elf or something like that, and they mentioned him being like a different body. But apparently, they're just people. Like they're just humans.
I guess. No, they disguise themselves.
Yeah, but like someone in the comments said that
the princess is a dwarf, or not dwarf, an elf.
Is she?
She's got the pointed ears.
Does she?
Yeah. There was a whole reveal where she like used the magic like. Show that she has pointed ears.
Okay, because I thought so as well. I thought they were elves, but I think someone in the comments mentioned that was like funny or something like that. Like I thought they were elves. I thought they specifically mentioned it. Maybe I also missed it. Who knows? But
maybe she's a half elf and the dad's a human.
Maybe we don't understand the dad fully. That he comes in like different bodies, kind of thing. Like what the shit's going on?
He's got a homunculus thing going on. Like he doesn't want to risk himself going to a nation of monsters, so he sends a disposable body.
Yeah, sounds like a pussy. That's what he sounds like. You know what else? Everyone else does. They go to the nation of monsters like a man.
I mean, he's just pulling a Potimos at this point.
I know, but you know who's kind of a bitch? Potimos. So
doesn't roll up unless he's got a Terminator body.
Yeah, so I mean, the episode is very much it's just like planning ahead, right? He basically says like, "Hey, I'm gonna have this war going on with Clayman." He's got his allies. They're basically like, "Hey, we don't like necessarily love the fact that you're a demon lord, but like." He's like, we're the Dwargon guys, like, we're kind of locked in now. Like, we've already kind of made our alliance. And then Rimuru looks at the one guy's like, we haven't really officially done anything yet. Like, we haven't, like, you don't have to be on my side. He's like, I think we will.
Yeah, I like the dude's like, if I had to choose between being with you and being against you.
He's also like, and like my daughter's a big fan of you. So like that would just get awkward. So
plus the other guys are kind of dicks. So
yeah, so you kind of have that. I like how there's still this big discussion about like, oh, what are we going to do with like the Western Holy Church or like that? You literally have the leader of it like locked in your basement. And like, I swear to God, Rimuru did not mention that to any people there.
Wait, what? Oh my God, you're
right. He does. Because he captured the king and he captured the bald like monk guy who was like the leader or whatever. He was like the pope of like the Western Holy Church. And like there they keep talking about like they're like, oh, we're gonna put the Western Holy Church on a sideline for now. We have to worry about this like Clayman situation. I'm sure that'll be fine. And like they do not mention that they have the current Gallic leader.
Yeah, I feel like that's gonna be like the start of the next episode. Like, oh, by the way, I have their leaders downstairs.
Yeah,
but it wasn't even the church. It was the empire.
Well, it was the king of the one empire, but it was
the king, and then it wasn't the actual leader of the church. It was like his holy advisor or something.
I don't know. I also laughed at one point they call like Yum like the next king of Falmouth or like that. And some of the guys like look a little bit like, huh? And then they just keep going though, because he doesn't mention like, oh yeah, like I got that king downstairs, so he's actually going to take over their kingdom.
Yeah, I kind of wanted him to explain like, oh, by the way, I'm planning to fully destroy their theocracy and just
He just
install
like
my own
he mentioned
government.
at some point about like how like, oh, he's like, and you should be here because you're like the next king of Falmouth. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I swear to God, they like show like camera like pans over to like Dwargon, the other guy, and they like they have like a look. They're like, did we miss something? Something happened? We weren't paying attention.
I mean, would you really want to question it at that point? Because Rimuru literally just murked like 15,000 people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'd question anyways. I think the other fun part of this episode is, of course, we have Diablo and him competing with what's her face now?
Shion?
Yeah, both being his like advisors or like what's their like they're basically
They're secretaries.
yeah, he's like the butler character, of course. He's very he's very much the butler. But like the part where they mention like this whatever her name is, I want to say Hanagaki, but I don't think that's actually it. Sakura. I don't remember.
I can't
the
remember.
human girl who was really strong and fought Rimuru. They're mentioning her, and then Diablo's like, well, how about I just go and kill her right now? And then what's her Shion's like, oh no, I'll go kill her right now because I'm better than you. And he's like, you're not stronger. And I'm like, I believe Diablo. I don't think you're stronger than him.
I mean, yeah. Plus, there's the fact that Diablo's like they haven't actually explained what he is, but I'm pretty sure he's a high-ranking devil.
Yeah, they just said he's like an archdemon or something like that.
Yeah, so I feel like he could probably take the church on his own.
Also, wouldn't theoretically he would have gotten stronger once he got a name from Rimuru?
Yeah.
Like he would have been even stronger after that than what he was before. I know that like Shion technically also have gotten stronger from like their bonds. We haven't really.
Yeah, the rebirth did something that made them stronger.
Yeah, we haven't seen that yet. I think that like one person was put in charge of like finding out what everyone's new abilities are from that.
Yeah, because Shion got a random ass like Master Chef skill.
Yeah, so Oliver her food tastes like what she wants it to taste like, but it still looks awful. So it's like looks do matter while they're eating the food.
I want someone just to sit down with her and teach her how to make like basic porridge.
Yeah.
And just have it be the most delicious.
I feel like
porridge.
even then, the whole point is like, someone just needs to teach her how to at least make food look good, not taste good, because then you can make it taste good.
I mean, yeah, true.
So like, I mean, that's
But
perfect.
like, start with something that is so easy that she can't possibly fuck it up.
It's anime, Jimmy. They'll always fuck it up if they're bad at cooking.
I mean, yeah, there's always the argument of like they managed to burn water and.
Yeah, so it was an important episode with the delegations getting towards the big thing, which is going to be the whole Demon Lord War, not just with Clayman, but technically as an alliance. Obviously, like Milliam, whatever her name is, she has like a relationship with Rimuru, but something's going on with her right now.
Yeah, she's mind controlled or
she does not really work well with others, yet she's in this like alliance for some reason.
Yeah, I'm sure because they gave us a little bit of her backstory earlier, right? So
yeah, the whole dragon thing.
Yeah,
dragon reincarnated, had to kill her own dragon because it came back bad. Became a demon lord after killing 10,000 people. She's got a little backstory.
Yeah, it's gonna be something like, oh, we have the soul of your dragon. We can bring him back.
And then for some reason, she learned how to only wear underwear and high socks. And then that was like her backstory.
That's just like the anime trying to go for waifu status.
Yeah. Very important stuff. I'm very much excited like for this like Demon Lord army. And seeing just more what, not only what Rimuru can do now, because he's very much more OP than he's ever been before.
Yeah, like we've only seen him use one skill technically after that, which was Megiddo.
Yeah, but I'm also just really excited for all the side characters. Even like your basic goblins, right? Like they've now technically, as long as they were linked to him, they've been like powered up. So I'm excited to see how.
That's going to be terrifying.
Because even like looking back at the end of last season, because we never talked about it, right? Going from like those humans that came in, like the other reincarnations, to stomping everybody, to then like when Rimuru was pissed and he sent them out. Like you had the Orc King or the him, and then the old guy like just wrecking them, like cutting the one dude's head off in like a second. Like
I mean, there was the whole like weakening barrier that was put over the city that did help them fight them originally.
Yeah, that's why it was just so satisfying when they think they're so strong and like Rimuru sends like one person to each of the camps, just fucking just wrecks them instantly. Man. It was so satisfying.
I watched that one a couple times. Like the Orc King in particular, just seeing him go like, okay, yeah,
just absolutely stomp. Yeah, because the one dude was the biggest asshole, like the spiky haired, fist fighting guy. He was just a complete douche.
Yeah, his thing was like what, berserker? Or?
Yeah, so watching him just get his shit kicked in, and then like watching him go and kill his own ally to get get more power and stuff like that, and then still have him get his shit kicked in.
Yeah, because he had that moment of realizing it's like, oh wait. Just because I can't die doesn't mean I'm going to win. Yeah,
so there's a lot of fun stuff with that. I'm excited to get back to that in this part now. Obviously, starting the second part of the second season, it's been a little slower at the beginning, as is typical though. So we're going to keep talking about it every single week. So we're going to be ramping up as we get into all the action, and then this time, no one can say we missed it when we have a really good season.
Watch it. Everything good was in the first half, and then
Darn, that would have got us real good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Reincarnated Slime. If you're a fan of us talking about it, let us know down below. It being a new series we're talking about, I would just like to get some feedback if people are fans. And of course, we'll be continuing watching as we go forward until the season's over. So that's it for the actual 4 official anime. So we still have a little bit of time left today. So which one do you want to go into first?
I mean, which ones have we both caught up on at this point?
I'm going to start off with Remake Our Life.
That's fair. Just get a slice of life in there.
So we've mentioned this multiple times on the podcast. If you've been here for a while, both of us have a particular love for slice of life and college when they mix.
Yeah, this is probably the second one I've seen that does this.
Yeah, and maybe technically third. I'm thinking of Golden Time and Usagi-chan. Technically,
I guess
is a slice of life comedy college.
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't counting Usagi-chan.
Usagi-chan, this is one of the more, because even Golden Time and Usagi-chan, they were both going to school, but school, this is closer to Golden Time because they did have some actual school parts in it, but this alone in the 3 episodes has already actually shown a lot of school.
Yeah, this is centered around the school is the main reason he's there.
Yeah, so as we've kind of gave a brief synopsis, but since this is more kind of just discussing about our feelings so far in the first 3. The main character was a game developer who, when he was younger and finished high school, he got accepted into a really good arts school, but he made the safe choice and didn't go to that school. Instead, he went to a generic, probably business school or something. And then, since then it's been 10 years. His life's been kind of shitty. He keeps getting dropped from projects. Projects keep failing. Everything's kind of going bad for him. And he just wishes he could have went back and made the better choice.
Yeah.
He does meet the nice boss. He meets the good boss, and he's working on the project, and it shows that he's really competent. Because they show all these different almost a little montage of him succeeding and being really good at his job and people relying on him.
Yeah, it's a lot of different things. He was really good at the managerial parts where he was organizing and sorting things. He was good at dealing with prima donna artists.
Yeah, and people were going to him. He knew how to handle people, so it showed his kind of skills there. But then even that project got dropped, and then it wasn't anything he could do. It's just he just had some really bad luck too.
It was a lot of small things that just piled up and caused the project to get dropped. So.
Yeah, and of course he does the classic. I did the slight misdirect where the first time he's I wish I can go back 10 years. Then he wakes up and it's still him. And you're oh, okay, he's not. And it's a little misdirect. But the next time he does go back, he wakes up. And I really like that they took no time fucking around when he wakes up. He wakes up, it's 10 years. He's I'm making this decision. And the next scene is just him starting his college.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the way to do it instead of fucking around for an episode just with them coming in high. Should I make the wrong choice again?
Yeah, really, the first episode A was 45 minutes, or 52 minutes. It was a long episode.
Yeah.
Which was really, really nice for setup because not only do we had to see a little bit of him going back because we had to learn about these developers currently that are from the golden era of the school or the platinum the platinum generation of the school he could have went to he's like hey, if I went to the school I might have even been in some of the same classes as them.
Yeah, they couldn't use golden generation.
Yeah, no, not allowed to do that. But yeah, so he's if I had went to school and made this decision, I could have been in class with some of these people and they're some of the best people in their fields. Of course, that's a little bit of a
dead giveaway.
A little bit of a giveaway of some stuff that's coming up. In particular, there's this one artist that he really loves, and he has the background of the character and that kind of stuff. So either way, he goes back 10 years. He starts his college. He's having a good time. He starts living in a live-in house with 3 other people.
Yep.
2 guys, 2 girls. Pretty simple. Kind of especially since there was 3 main people from this platinum generation.
Yeah, they weren't even trying.
And he's living
it.
with 3 people. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who these people are. Especially since one of their name is just Nana in capitals, and one of the girls there is Nanako or Nana. It's Nanami, something with Nana. But I really like it so far because the second episode, one of a couple of the key other than those 3 characters, his senpai, the company that he got along with after, she's actually one of the students, and she's kind of one of the bitchier students in the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, she's the one who's very standoffish and I'm going to do better than you.
Yeah, she's I'm going to beat you with this project. You guys are kind of taking this not seriously enough, that kind of shit.
Which I do like because he was just looking at her. It's bitch, what did we do? We just got the project and you're going off on us.
Yeah. So I kind of like that, and then of course it's him, dealing with at one point in one of the episodes they have to make a project starting in episode number 2.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
It's 3 minutes. I don't think it has to be a specific art medium. It has to be some sort of video on there. But
yeah, 3-minute video dealing with the concept of time, right?
Yeah, the concept of time is the general idea behind it. So they come up with their idea, they have the idea, and then the one guy is in charge. He's the story guy. He's writing the script, and then it's him. It's the main character struggling to try to I don't know, be good at communication with him and be hey, I need him to shorten his script so it's less than 3 minutes kind of thing. But this guy doesn't want to make he doesn't want to make
doesn't wanna
sacrifices.
compromise.
Yeah, he doesn't want to compromise on like his vision, and it kind of leads to a little bit of turmoil between their relationship until the main character at some point realizes like, hey, like I'm kind of, it's actually not completely his fault. I'm kind of going about this the wrong way. I need to communicate better. And then he kind of goes about it like a different way, being, hey, let's rethink this whole thing. Let's just sit down right now. We'll work this out and we'll make it fit. And the guy's like, okay, thanks. And he like appreciates that he's willing to put that effort in.
Yeah.
And then of course, as they show up, they got this train station, a video about like a character growing older throughout time, and they're getting the video set up. The one character realized that he brought the wrong camera.
Yeah, he rented out a still image camera
A still image instead of video, and their whole thing was making a video. So they kind of panic, and the last thing we see from episode 2 is the main character be like, no, like we're not giving up like this. We're doing something. And then episode 3, the most recent one, came out a few nights ago. It's just like the conclusion of that little project arc. So I think that anybody who watched episode 2 kind of predicted what they were going to do for the most part. They made like a nice little like still image like slideshow in a sense, still using most of what like the one girl, the main artist girl, was like vision boarding kind of situation. Like she was doing all the, I can't think of all the words right now, all the actual movie terms for it,
like storyboarding.
Yeah, she was like storyboarding it, and she was working on like the composition and stuff like that.
Right.
The Nana girl was mainly like the actress in it, so she was doing like.
Well, isn't Nana the artist?
No.
Oh.
No, Nana is the blonde girl.
Oh, okay.
She's like
I had them mixed up.
She's like the more actress one, because she mentions multiple times this that, hey, I could have done a better job if we had done this like regular. And then the one guy's like very much the story writer. Yeah, I think her name's like Aoi or Aoki or something like that. Was the the blue haired art girl. But yeah, it's a lot of them like they work together. They present the project kind of thing. We get to see the project. And then at the end, it's them being like, hey, like, we're proud. Like, they only come like third or something in the contest, but they're like, hey, we're proud of what we did considering the situations, but they're all still disappointed that they all know they could have done better.
Yeah.
They all get up individually, like, hey, like, we're not going to lose to you, because I think the main point of this was showing how, like, the skills we saw in episode 1 with the main character, we're seeing how he put those all to use still now.
Yeah, he still has everything he developed over those years. He's just putting it into this.
Yeah, like out of all the characters in that crew, which we know are definitely, he knows one of them at this point is from the Platinum generation. He hasn't realized the other ones yet.
Yeah, we're probably seeing like one episode before he realizes who the blonde is.
Yeah, so we know all this, but in this episode, he's like impressed them all with just like his abilities, like to put together what they had out of like making a mistake.
Yeah.
Kind of situation. And then even we see his old senpai, so the red haired girl comes in and she like acknowledges him.
Yeah.
She acknowledges him, and then of course the best part is, as if you didn't, I thought it was the mom was the teacher originally.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of surprised the way they went. I thought she looked a little young, but
so in this episode, they're like, okay, the teacher's actually the sister of his senpai from work, and she's like, hey, from now on, you're going to be like part of their crew for projects.
Yeah.
Because like you want to, you're interested in this character, in this guy. So like this is an easy way. And she's like, okay, good point, kind of thing. And obviously you see like a little bit of a crush developing. Maybe she kind of respects him for like how he put that all together, especially when like the sister's like, oh, I also think they had like some technical difficulties like with the equipment acquiring, and that's why they kind of did this. And she's like, oh, like, ooh, she's impressed.
Yeah, that like, wow, he was able to do this under pressure.
So yeah, going forward, obviously it's gonna be pretty fun them working on like projects. There's a lot of fun anime about like, I think it's not the Onagai teacher, but it was the one that was very much like the same thing, like
oh, I know what one you're talking about.
It was like the same plot with the alien teacher, but a lot of it is about like them making like a summer movie. You have stuff like the one with the girl who's the god. Why can I not think of, it's the one of the Haruhi.
Oh, Haruhi. Okay.
Yeah, like them making film, making like
right.
a movie, that kind of stuff. Like, I just gives me such like good like nostalgic, like the kids are on like a summer break in like an anime and they're making some sort of project, making like a.
True.
It gives me those kind of vibes, but mixed in with the college and slice of life relationships. Yeah. And then of course we have the the kind of fantasy or like fiction element, which is just the time travel sense of it.
Yeah,
it's not really important to the story for the most part. It's really just. I
mean, it is a little bit because he has that little conundrum. Is like, did I just steal someone's idea when he pitches the idea at the train station?
Yeah, yeah. So that's something he's probably going to be worried about in the future, or might come up more often. Then I think that him knowing that this one girl, obviously the most recent episode, he has the talk with her about how like her art is amazing. And that kind of thing, and that kind of changes her opinion. She literally is like, "Oh, I'm gonna live my life for you now." I'm like, "Damn, this girl go hard." Like,
I mean, it was more of like a proving that she isn't gonna get shown up by him, is how she words it.
It's true, but I mean, obviously, like, there's something there. I
mean, I think we all knew she was the one he was destined to end up with, between the art and the fact that in the first episode she woke up in his bed.
Yeah, that was a good.
That's a pretty good giveaway in anime.
And then drank his yogurt. Yeah.
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 I like how everyone just got over that real quick.
I mean, I guess that I like it because if this was an anime with like high schoolers, that would have been a big deal. But it's college, right? Like shit happens
true,
at college. So it's just been a really, really enjoyable slice of life so far. It gives me both like real life feels, which I was a big fan of.
It's tough to watch that one.
You know, that the character in like his late 20s getting like a second chance. And obviously, like, you know, we're like around the same age that these characters are at the point.
Yeah, that thought of like, could I go back and do it again?
Yeah, and I'm sure like every single person who's really probably at any age when they're an adult, but like when you're in like your late 20s, 30s, you're like, man, if I went back, like I could easily fix this. I could be like right now to be making like $200K a year doing this, like my dream job, because I would know what to do in the past. You know, like I think that every person has that sense, but it's obviously fiction. But it's nice to kind of seeing a character live it out. And
oh yeah.
Plus, just as we mentioned, slice of life in college is just like the best time because
I mean, yeah, we need to see more anime do this.
we 100% do. Like I understand like it's maybe not the main demographic, but
The problem is the demographic has gotten older,
yeah,
so I think it is applicable.
yeah. And as I said, like I still will watch like the slice of lives in high school, but I don't feel the same way about them as I do when I get like a college one.
True.
But yeah, it was very enjoyable. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely recommend going in and watching it. And it's probably something we'll be talking about in the future. Even if the same thing, like even if like we don't come back to it for another like 3 weeks, but in that when we come back to it 3 weeks from now, we just quickly discuss the 3 episodes we missed.
Yeah, true.
Stuff like that is much more likely to happen with this new kind of formula. So if you guys like it, just let us know down below. And then if you like the show, if you like Remake Our Life, just let us know that down below as well. And then we can keep track of it. Other than Remake Our Life, what do we got?
I think I'm just gonna name the one I know you want to talk about, which is Kanojo.
Yeah, okay. So let's talk about this, okay? It's very, very simple. Kanojo mo Kanojo. The main character, he has a girlfriend. He loves her. He's obsessed with her. We're very quickly introduced to the main character having this flaw, if you will, that he just says his feelings. You know, he doesn't hold anything back.
Very straightforward, very honest. Gives me Actually I Am feelings. I don't know if you ever watched that one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So, you know, he's a very straightforward guy. He loves his girlfriend. One day he's on the roof, you know, a girl, very cute. She basically says like, hey, I like you. And he's like, you know, like I have a girlfriend though. And she's like, okay, that's fair. And he's like, but I really do like you too. He's like, you know what? I can't pick. He's like, I have a girlfriend, but I would like you to be my girlfriend too. So he's like, you know what? He's like, come with me. He's like, we're going to ask my girlfriend if you can also date me. And the girl's like, okay. She's like, you know, I really like you, and I need anything to date you right now, kind of situation.
Yeah, I do like how her attitude is basically like, this isn't ideal, but this is something.
Yeah, she's like, it's not ideal, but it's either that or I don't date him at all, kind of situation. So she's willing to take it, and then you know they go to the girlfriend, and you know he's like, hey, she confessed, you know, I'm gonna date both of you, kind of situation. That's okay, and he basically has to keep badgering her like the main girl until she says yes.
Yeah, I do like how his introduction to her was just like, hey, here's this cute girl, and he's like, she makes really nice food. She does all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'd really like to date her. And he's like, well, on that note.
Well, you know, since we're talking about dating her, I think the best part of the show so far to me is that like the newest episode kind of opened up a couple different things about, you know, boundaries and stuff like that in a sense. Yeah. But a lot of it's that like the main two girls do like each other as well. You know, the one girl keeps mentioning like the main girl, like Saki is like his girlfriend he started with. She's more like masculine than the other girl. You know, she's the classic like childhood friend, not afraid to hit him, not afraid to she shows her emotion very loudly kind of situation.
Yeah.
While the other girl, I can't remember her name, the blue haired girl, she's more like quiet, reserved, you know, cute. Much more like the mom kind of, you know, the homemaker, like she takes care of people, you know, she cleans, she cooks, all that kind of stuff.
She has all the traditional feminine desirable points covered.
Yeah, so you know, a lot of it there's been struggles like after they accept the fact that they're both going to date him kind of thing. Some of the funniest parts are where he's just like, ideally I would like a threesome, and they're like, the girl's like, no, she's like, we're not doing that. He's like, okay, I will put that on the back burner, but I sure would like that. I just want that to be noted. And then even the blue hair girl's like, well, I'll do it if that's what he wants, because she'll do anything for him. We haven't gotten the backstory yet to that. We've seen that she saw him at some point in the past, and since then she was obsessed with him.
Even in the backstory, like I know this is anime, so she isn't gonna look bad, but she didn't look like she looked pretty cute back then. I can't believe she did all this work.
Yeah, like her whole thing was that she you know went out and got more fit. She you know got like contacts and something like that. She made herself up. She learned how to cook. She literally took like months off school to become better at cooking.
Yeah, just
to impress this guy. I mean, so he would date her eventually. But you know, there's been different struggles so far of just like dealing with like the most recent one was dealing with like it's very, very hard for, you know, him to not show more affection towards one than the other one. So the one girl's kind of dealing with insecurities, but, you know, being like, oh, like this, the other girl knows how to cook, she knows how to clean, she knows how to do all this for him. Like, what do I bring to the table? She's like, I bring nothing to the table. So she's literally like, hey, if I bring nothing to the table, I have to have sex with him. She's like, this is like, listen, this is not how it should be in life, okay? But this is how her thought process, right? She's just a teenager. She's like, I offer him nothing. Like, why would he want to keep me when he has this girl who will give him everything else? She's like, so what I have to bring is I have to bring sex.
Yeah, which even in the episode previous, they kind of go over the fact that she's been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah, like she's been considering it for a while, like her Google searches and that kind of stuff. Like it's something that's been on her mind. But now she's like, okay, I have to do this because it's all I have. Yeah. She's like, it's going to make him want to keep me. Don't follow that advice out there, but it is what she thinks.
Yeah, this is not a healthy relationship.
So she tries, and the main character's like, no, like we can't do this. Like it's not fair to her. And then she gets pissed, leaves, and then most of the last episode is him like trying to make up with her.
Yeah, I do like how it just turned that she lived next door.
Yeah, yeah, she's just like directly beside.
Which what do her parents think about this?
I think that it's because like they're like childhood friends. So her parents are like, oh, that's just him kind of thing. We don't mind you staying over. Like her parents are probably like we want you to marry him kind of thing. Like you guys have been friends forever.
I wonder what they think when they see another girl coming out of the room, though.
I'm sure we'll get the parents plot at some point, at least with like maybe not the main characters, but with like her parents or something like that.
Because didn't he say like his parents work overseas or something like that? So
yeah, they'll be gone for like 6 months or something. It's very much supposed to be like kind of like the trashy anime, but it's not that trashy. It's more just like funny and like this is kind of unrealistic sense.
Yeah, it's very much just harem, like straight to the point.
Yeah, it's really not that etchy or anything either. Like there's really nothing in it. I think that when we get to like the shows like that Shoto show that's coming out soon,
that's going to be the really trashy.
That's going to be excessively etchy and trashy. I think this one more is just like comedy. There are other girls that'll probably come into play at some point too.
Yeah, I think we got to see one of them here, the streamer girl.
Yeah, there was also like the classmate, like I think one of their friends,
platinum hair,
the platinum haired one. Yeah, like there's some other things coming in, and it's really going to be. I don't know how you end a show like this, like when they decide it's time to end, because like you really cannot be an anime that actually tries to sell people on polygamy.
Well, they're not going to. They're just going to pull the standard, and their relationship continued ambiguously forever.
Yeah, or just another season will never come out, so they won't have to say it or something like along those lines.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure this is based on a manga, so if that's still ongoing, I'm sure they've had to come up with something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even shows like We Never Learn ended up making a choice in the end. So
yeah, this isn't just like picking between a girl though, because it's like you're so far in the show, you're literally almost trying to sell us on like, hey, polygamy could work if it works out for you. Like, hey, if the stars align, yeah, polygamy really makes sense. One of them could be the cooking and cleaning wife. One of them can be just the other wife. I
mean, for all we know, it's going to turn out that they have feelings for each other, and they're just going to cut the guy out of the equation.
I mean, that'd probably be the most satisfying ending.
Because, I mean, the idea of a polyamorous relationship could probably work, but not in this circumstance.
Listen, it's not that it couldn't work. I know that I'm supposed to say it can't work. It's not that it couldn't work. It's just that it's not socially acceptable. So I don't think the anime is going to make that the ending.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely true. Even then, like, the way this is set up, that is not in the cards. Because the one girl is literally almost Stockholmed into this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he said one thing, she fell in love at first sight, and then she dedicated her life to him.
Yeah, I'm excited to get, like, the backstory as to exactly what he did to make her dedicate her entire life to him.
It's probably going to be something like he was just really honest about the fireworks and, like, really passionate. She's like, I like that in a guy.
I'm excited to see maybe some friends' reactions when slowly people, like, maybe someone learns about the whole, like, dating both of them situation.
You know what's going to happen? It's going to be the platinum hair girl, and she's going to go, you know what? I'm going to get in on this to make sure it's not a bad thing for you. And
I do also like how much of the show so far is just taking place at home, like, dealing with, like, everyday circumstances, like going to sleep or showering and that kind of stuff, but with two girlfriends who both live with you.
Yeah,
it's been enjoyable. It's not extremely trash like you would have assumed by listening to like the description of like, hey, guy wants to date two girls. Because I mean, most anime is basically the guy's kind of dating two girls for the entire season as he picks one.
He just never makes it official until he's forced to.
Yeah, this guy's just more open with his feelings about it. But it is enjoyable. So if you haven't watched it, I'd watch it. It's a little trashy still, just because it's a lot of just like having fun about dating multiple women kind of thing. Like it's really not too much plot there. But I'll probably just keep watching it because it's entertaining for me. That's basically what it comes down to.
I'll probably pick it up when I just want something light. So
yeah, exactly. I think one thing we have to talk about at least is there are another 2 isekai series currently ongoing.
These are the 2 big ones we should probably.
Yeah, so there's I can't remember the full title, but it's basically the Realist Hero. It's just what I'm going to call it, the short form for it.
Yeah, the story of how a realist hero saved the kingdom, I think it is.
Yeah, so this will be an also pretty quick synopsis on it. Like most other isekai we've seen, this is one of the ones where it's like a hero summoning. A country is in a bad state currently, so they do an ancient like hero summoning ritual to bring a hero in. This hero comes in, and instead of normally being like, oh, he's ultra strong and he's going to level up fast and he's got like some secret skills, For the most part, it's just that he has a good outlook on like business and economy.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I think they talk about how he's gifted in, like, some degree of magic. And
Well, he's gifted with like the understanding of like this world's language and stuff like that. This world luckily only has one language shared between the entire world.
yeah, that's very convenient.
Yeah. Very. If only all worlds were like that, how easy world would be. But like, so he's got a couple advantages, but for the most part, a lot of it's just that he comes in the first episode. The king, after solving one issue, the king gives him the kingdom. He doesn't intend to stay here forever. He gets nominated to like marry the king's daughter, but he's like, hey, like I'll stay here for a few years. I'll fix your country, and then I'll head out back to my world. You don't have to worry about the engagement. Like you can become.
Does he specify he's going back to his world, or that he's just leaving this country?
I feel like he says he's going back to his world. He's like, I'll go back to my world once I fix this.
Like, do we even know if that's an option?
Maybe he thinks it is. I don't know. Maybe he's like, hey, I'll finish my business and be gone.
And then everyone just assumed you like was going to bugger off to another country, and they're like, oh no, you can't go back.
Because even in the most recent episode, at one point, the girl's like, hey, like if I can make him like fall in love with me, then he'll stay, and then he won't want to go home.
Yeah, again, another unhealthy relationship goal of just trying to anchor someone down.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, I feel like that's technically what I feel like most people feel like in a relationship.
I mean, true.
It's just that we don't always say it. But yeah, a lot of it's just like him going to be dealing with issues like fixing the economy and stuff like that. Doesn't sound very interesting on paper, but it's always kind of interesting to watch. And the biggest one, the thing that's taken place over the last 2 episodes mainly, was that he wants a personnel change. So basically, he puts out like a call, basically like an America's Got Talent situation. He puts out like a call being like, hey, anyone who's got a talent, he's like, I don't care how stupid it sounds. If you are the best at something, I don't care what it is. But if you can honestly say that I am the best at this, he's like, you come. He's like, if it's the best at fighting, we're going to hold fighting tournaments. If it's best at singing, we'll have singing competitions. He's like, if it's best at anything, just come forward. We want you. And he's like, and if you come forward, like we'll give you a gold. We'll do all this kind of shit.
Yeah, it's just basically like, don't think you're useless. Like, I will determine if you're useful or not.
Yeah, so, and then as we start, like, the second episode, we skip, like, we don't have to watch all that happen.
Which I'm kind of glad.
I'm kind of glad, too. I didn't want, like, a fucking 8-episode tournament arc of, like, characters singing and fighting and all that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, like, they didn't even montage it. They just, like, here are the ones who won.
Yeah, they quickly, in the episode where he's introducing it, they show multiple characters seeing this, like him doing the announcement. Like, okay, these characters will be important. But in the most recent episode, he literally has them lined up in the kingdom, and it's just one at a time. He calls them forward. They mention what their talent is. He says like, "Okay, sweet." And you kind of get a sense of what they're going to be useful at. The very first one is I believe it's the fighting girl.
Yeah,
she's
it's the dark elf.
She's a dark elf, and she's the best fighter. They must have had some sort of tournament or something like that. She's like the best fighter. She walks up though. She's like, "Hey," she's like, "But I want to make a request of you." She's like, "Instead of you giving me money, I need your knowledge."
Yeah, like there was a whole thing too where she was like, I won't bow unless I acknowledge him as my master.
It's just part of their custom. She's like, we only bow to our masters in like the dark elf place. And the one guy's getting mad, and the king's like, no, it's cool, that's fair.
It's like, I really don't care.
Yeah, so she's like, oh, like I need you to solve this issue. Like our forest is getting all sorts of fucked. And he's like, what did he say? He's like, oh, have you like tried like thinning it or whatever it is?
Yeah, or are you properly thinning the trees? And she's like, what?
She's like, huh? And he's like, oh yeah, like what you gotta do is basically like trees grow too much, too big, blocks out sunlight, all this kind of shit. And she's like, you're my master now. She gives him the bow. She's like, I'll follow you anywhere. She's like, I'll follow you for life. She's like, now soon, like, can we go back to my place and fix this? And he's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, I do like how it's like basic knowledge. She was like, yeah, when you have all these tall trees, you don't get light, so everything, like, nothing grows on the floor.
Yeah.
And everything dies.
But yeah, he solved the issue, so she's on board now, obviously having a really good fighter.
Which it's a really good thing that the economics student knew about basic tree thinning.
It is very good for him. If not, I feel like he probably could have researched it and found out anyways, but...
I guess he does have access to like the actual world's records, too.
Yeah, so somewhere might have had that.
Just like the moment of like, one moment, let me Google search this.
Yeah, there it is, yeah, thin your trees.
Well, it wasn't even that, because his phone still works.
Does it actually work, though?
I don't know. They haven't actually established that.
Like, I feel like he just has like options for like the camera and that kind of stuff. But
I guess maybe he just had a really big music library.
Maybe. I think he probably did. But the next girl, of course, is actually the number one at being hot. And singing, I guess. So she's like the most beautiful in the land, and she's also good at singing.
Yeah, she's literally descended from sirens.
Yeah, basically descended, or supposedly descended from sirens.
She didn't seem to deny it.
It's not really that she's just good at singing, though. She's immediately able to listen to a song and then phonetically know the song even without understanding the language. And I think that she must make her own lyrics to it.
I think she was actually singing in Japanese.
Yeah, but how? Like, so
she knew it phonetically.
But does that mean so other people listening have no idea what she'd be saying though?
Exactly.
That's kind of interesting.
So they knew it was a good song. They just had no idea what it meant. It's like when you listen to K-pop.
Yeah. So like it's just she jams. Everybody's listening to it over like the big thing. Everyone's a big fan. She's obviously like even like the main character's like looking at her. She's got like the blushy face. His possible engagement wife is like, hey, stop that.
It's like bad.
Yeah. So that was her talent, being hot and being good at singing. He's like, I'll find the use for that.
I mean, I'm sure it's not that hard to find a use for that.
Yeah,
That's very easy to make the face of any campaign you want.
You just hold concerts, bring people in, bring money in, get transport, put her on the face of anything. New cereal box coming from your thing when you learn how to, that the good food is of the area.
Which,
speaking of the next guy, of course, we see this guy. He's a little bit tubby. He walks up, he falls. People are like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be useless," and we see one of the other characters in the back being like, "This is gonna really matter what he uses this guy for."
They specifically showed him like telling him what his talent was before. He's like, I don't know why they brought me here. It's like,
the guy's like, "Oh, what's your talent?" He's like, "I'm like the best at eating." He's like, I can eat the most. He's like, I've tried food from basically anywhere. He's like, there basically isn't anything I haven't eaten.
Yeah.
And then the king walks up. He's like, "You're the exact one I've been looking for." He like shakes his hand. He's like, "I need you, especially." Like, he's like, "I was deliberately holding this thing, hoping I'd find like you," kind of situation.
Yeah.
So this guy's all like crying. He's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "The king just told me like he needs me." And then obviously like we know that's pretty important because at this point the king, like the main character, is also trying to find like a main export.
Or even just a way to grow food that people are gonna want.
To grow food people are gonna want, but then also like having if you have a kingdom where like your thing is like your food, you're gonna get a lot of travel, right? You're gonna get a lot of travel. It could become like a central hub kind of area.
Depending on the food, it'd be pretty easy to turn that into an export.
Yeah, exactly. If it's the proper ingredients, something you have easy access to and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I can understand why he was looking for him. But then even after he goes back, the next character comes up, and this character's like the really smart one. He's like, my thing is like smart. He's like, I read books. He's like, I have knowledge of all sorts of things. I want to be like your like prime minister guy. I'm gonna be crazy. And then basically he was like running a test on the king where he's like, my basis was like, if you didn't understand how to use the previous guy's talent, but you still took him on in case, he's like, I would have accepted you and followed you. He's like, if you turned him away, I wouldn't have. I just would have taken like your offer to do the library kind of thing. He's like, but you even like shocked me and not only just took him in, you like knew, you like, it sounds like you know how to use it kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to be like prime minister though. And then the main guy's like, okay, like maybe he's like, what we'll do is later I'll have like a private meeting with you and we can kind of figure out how smart you are. And that's just off screen. Like the narrator over top's like, and later they had a meeting and boy were they smart. So later he'd be known as like the crazy smart black prime minister darkness and something. I'm like, okay, like
I think it was the minister in black, but yes.
I was like, thanks narrator.
I mean, I think it was one of those things where they didn't want to have a whole conversation where they just overly tried to sound smart.
Yeah.
Like I think the author knew like I'm not even going to try and touch on this.
Yeah, so that's good. So that guy's in there now too. And then of course the last character is this little poor street urchin. They did say they like what are they called? Like the White Fox clan or something like that line?
Yeah, I think something like that.
Something along those lines. And then they mentioned like, hey, like her talent, is it her? Her. I'm going to say her for now. Her talent is that she can like speak to animals just by like touching them. She knows like the knowledge of the animal, like the wisdom. She knows the breed and that kind of stuff. And then she's like, hey, I have something to tell you kind of thing. And he's like, oh, I can't hear you. Let me come closer. And she's like, okay. And then she whispers in his ear and then we see him make a shocked face and that's the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Okay. So predictions before we stop talking about Realist Hero. What's your predictions?
It's either going to be a complete red herring and be absolutely pointless, or it's going to be something like an assassination attempt.
I don't think it's going to be an assassination attempt. I think that her thing is going to be the best at like lying or something like that, and she like faked the whole like situation, and that's going to be his like spy. Like that's like my guess because she's going to come and like whisper to him. I think it's going to be like because I don't think that's actually going to be her power, it's the animal thing. Or like her like talent. I think it's actually going to be something unrelated to that, and she was using that to like get close kind of situation. But I don't want to believe it's for an assassin.
I mean, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from there because that like talking to animals is one of those very specific talents.
If she comes up and she's like, my thing's not, she's like, I don't have that talent. She's like, I actually am just like the best at like lying, like manipulating. She's like, ahead of time I like looked up these animals and that kind of stuff before doing this, and she like explains like this whole like Sherlock thing about how she actually tricked the people into like, and then like proving how useful she is by tricking all of his like men kind of thing. That to me is like, okay, he's like, oh, I can use that.
The only problem I have with that is that she was obviously living in a slum before this.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time someone with that talent wouldn't have been able to rise up.
I mean, maybe they could have, maybe they didn't want to though. Maybe it's easier to stay unknown.
mean,
depending on what they're doing for. I don't know. It's something like that. Maybe it's gonna be like an assassinate attempt, but it's like turned away, and then she's like, I don't actually want to assassinate you.
Or I mean, you could even be like, hey, this minister's planning to try coup.
It could also literally be kind of what I said, but also kind of mixed with what you said, where she'll like put like a knife to his throat and be like, my talent is assassinating people. I'm not going to assassinate you, but I would be a good one, and then like put the knife away. She's like, look how easily I was able to get to you to assassinate you.
The only problem is based on that, she'd have no escape.
Yeah, but that would be like the I accept that, like, but I came here specifically to like show you that this is like what I do.
True.
And then he could be like, you know what, like all the guards are like rush forward. He'd be like, no, stop. He'd be like, that's a talent. He's like, I said that they'd be fine if they came in and showed the talent. And then like he's like, I could use you for something. And then she's like his espionage, you know?
True. I feel like that has a lot of like really bad doors you could open. Like someone just rolls up and is like, I'm the best at poisoning people. Here's the antidote.
I mean, that'd work.
I mean, it would, but I still wouldn't trust someone who poisoned.
There's a show called Skins. It's like a British comedy show.
Yeah.
And the one guy's like, hey, like take this like cup of coffee or like that. And he's like, sell me on this cup of coffee. And then he's like, okay. And the guy reaches over and lights the guy's tie on fire. And he's like trying to put it on the thing. And he's like, you want some liquid to put the fire out? And the guy's like, yeah. And he gets the job because of it. I'm like, see, that's it. You walk in like, hey, I'm the best at poisoning people. It's like, prove it. It's like, well, would you like this antidote? It's like, you've already been poisoned like that. I think that it's something along those lines, unless it's just a red herring. And she's like, hi, I'm just shy as well. I still do talk to animals though.
Just like a complete red herring. It's like, I have to go to the bathroom. It's like,
yeah, like something along those lines. Obviously, we'll see next week, though, which I'm kind of excited for. I like that they left with like a little bit of a cliffhanger because it gives us something to guess at before we watch it.
yeah, it's not just like, hey, these are the talent people. See what happens next week.
I know like one of the draws to the show is I think that a lot of people kind of like the Log Horizon sense where it's like, yeah, people liked that it was like an isekai like that, but they like kind of this whole like backbone about the economy and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a different element that anime normally doesn't dive into.
Yeah, Isekai is normally just like you're super strong, go wreck some shit. It's a power fantasy.
Yeah, well, instead of this one, it's just a smart guy, and he's trying to figure out how to save a country. And he's like going to be, we're going to see multiple different times. I think a lot of it's going to be about figuring out what the country's main export is, figuring out ways to get more travel and tourism.
Yeah, like even the fact that they spend so long going over like, hey, this country grows nothing but cash crops that are technically worthless now.
Yeah, exactly. So just figuring out different stuff like that. There is also this like demon army continent stuff, so like that might come in hand. That might come in importance later.
Maybe later. I think that's just world building at this point.
Yeah, like that like gives reasons why certain things happen in this world that can lead to their economy being bad. But maybe at some point, like kind of like how like slime grew in like a sense, this anime could also grow into having more than just the economical side of it. So that's why I'm excited to watch it going forward. But if you like the Realist Hero, just let us know down below. It's something that we'll probably come back to and cover as we see entertaining episodes. Maybe we'll have to dive in a little bit next week just to discuss what the cliffhanger actually led to.
Yeah, I mean, even just to touch base on it, definitely.
Yeah, even just to touch base quickly. And then I think we got one final isekai to talk about this week.
I think we do.
And that, of course, is TSUKIMICHI, which is like the ugly hero or something.
Yeah, I do like how their idea of uglies is like squared off eyes that are a little bit too far apart.
Yeah, I think it's obviously something hard to really get into an anime without just making this character a complete ugly bastard or something, which nobody wants to watch.
I mean, that is true.
The only issue I have with this show is that I liked the first episode. You know, this character, he gets brought over to this world kind of situation. I like the whole backstory of his like parents were actually from this world and they went over to a different one. He was born there and then he's like pulled back into this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about why they left, which I'm hoping we get to see at some point.
I mean, would you not leave if your world was filled with like monsters and stuff and you're like, hey, I can go to this world without monsters?
I mean, to be fair, we don't know what the human cities are like.
I guess, but there's always probably still going to be something, you know? Like,
I mean, yes, but they could also look at our world, look at Australia and go, nope, and just walk away.
I suppose. But, you know, I like that element to it. I like the whole kind of like shield hero character kind of banished. I like the sense where it's like, you know, your cast with him isn't human. You've already met like the little orc girl kind of thing. And she's like the generic, you know, hot female protagonist, except for she's also just like a pig. I think that my only issue in the past two episodes as he got the Shen, like the dragon, who was clearly just a Dragon Ball Z ripoff. Shenron, the dragon looked the exact same.
I mean, I think it wasn't meant to be there very long, so it's just a reference.
So, you know, you had that, and then in the most recent episode, you had the spider that he was fighting. I don't know if I love that this girls that he's just fighting stuff to slowly make his harem, because we get so many harem isekais, and like now you got the big titty dragon, and you get the big tittied spider, and
I don't think she had big titties, did she?
I don't know. She was more like classical Japanese look.
Yeah, so that's usually a slimmer body, but I don't know if we're gonna get much more because from what I've seen from the opening, it's just those two.
Yeah.
So we might be closer to a Konosuba situation where he's just walking around with a very small crew. And
I hope so, because I don't want it to be like the Reincarnated with my smartphone kind of thing where he's got 8 different wives. And like I hope we don't get there. I've been entertained so far, and once again, this is one of those ones where he is very powerful. He came in kind of OP.
yeah, but at the very least, it wasn't just you roll up and you're super powerful. Like a god literally gave him a bunch of power, and now he's asleep for the next 1,000 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's elements that I like of it so far. Like I think all the fights have looked pretty good. I like his power with like the bow, going from him being like a human character who like practiced archery kind of thing.
yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm suddenly good with a sword. Awesome.
I like the whole sense about like he wants to kind of like reincarnate as the slime and Realist Hero. He's building up like a city slowly, or that seems like what the intention is going to be inside his like little pocket dimension.
Yeah, it's now very like he got almost like a countryside from Japan built up.
Yeah, it was like something like because the dragon had like took some of his memories, like his new area became kind of like Japanese. It had like similar like
yeah, it's based on their bond as well. That's why, because it used to just be like an empty space.
Yeah, and I think it's probably going to grow bigger as their connection grows stronger.
Oh,
and he
God,
obviously moved the orc village over there, and in the future, as he meets new people and stuff, they'll probably go there and become like a little village, kind of like Tempest and like Reincarnated as a slime. I like that. I'm excited for when we get to the point where he meets human characters, and he's more like an outlaw to the human society.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about how that's going to go, because he's going to roll up. He's going to have 2 people with him in theory.
Mm-hmm.
They're both going to look human.
Yeah. But what if the orc girl comes with him as like part of his crew as well? I don't know. Or if she's just going to be always there in the orc village waiting for him to come home.
Yeah, because they can technically access that at any point. He could just say, chill here. I'm going to see if they're okay with you.
Yeah, he's like, I'll come back if we're all cool here. But yeah, you know, he's going to meet other people, other races. I'm excited to see when we first see him interact with humans. There's also, I don't know, there's like some backstory with him that we might get to see from his human side. We saw some bits of it when he was doing the Shen fight, but we don't know if it was like a real flashback, or if it was like it was like ideal flashback. Like
because it was like that was your desires. It wasn't what happened.
Yeah, and then there's also like more story too with the possible parents, right? Like his, you know, he even mentions he's like, oh, my parents came from this world. I want to learn more about them, kind of thing.
Yeah, he talks about I want to follow their path, which he has nowhere to start with. So that's why he's going to see humans.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So I'd like to see it going forward. I think that from what I've seen, I got a lot of Reddit posts copy on my phone about it. So I hope that people are looking forward to it. I hope that people like it based off like if it has source material or not.
True.
And then we'll be talking about it going forward at certain different intervals if something entertaining happens. I'm just excited to see where it goes. That's probably it for the anime we talked about today. I think next week a couple things I'd like to catch up on. What's the minor one again?
Black Company.
Yeah, something along those lines. By next week there'll be the 3rd episode of the Seirei against Suki, whatever it's called.
Yep.
The other isekai.
Correct.
We could probably touch base on that. It's pretty soon. Like we're getting close to when like the Jahi-sama starts and when that Shoto anime start.
I think Jahi's next week and Shoto's the week after.
Yeah, they're both late July, so they're coming up soon. So maybe we'll be able just to give first impressions of those episodes when they come out, depending on when they come out in relation to when we record. There's stuff like the Duke of Death. I've only seen the first episode.
Yeah, I need to watch more of that.
Next week we'll probably touch base on the Otome game one.
Yep.
I think
I'm caught up on that.
I think by then we'll have episode 4 out.
Yeah, that'll be episode 4.
Yeah, so we're basically just kind of play it loose and goose. We're going to touch base on certain animes as they come out.
Yeah.
As I mentioned early on, of course, if there's a specific anime episode you want us to talk about, leave it down in the comments of this video. And then next week, if we see enough of them, like if every single person's like, hey, please talk about the detective is dead. You know,
that one I've seen a lot about actually.
They're like, hey, please talk about this. Like, it's like a nice thriller. You guys will like it. Maybe some mystery elements. Like, please talk about that. If everybody's saying it, then we'll just make sure. Since we're still so new to all this anime, it's very easy to catch up on something.
Yeah.
So if we're not already caught up on it, we can just like, hey, yeah, I'll catch up on that tonight, and then we'll talk about it on tomorrow's episode. So just make sure you leave a comment with whatever you want us to talk about. Of course, the same for My Hero, Tokyo Revengers, To Your Eternity, and Slime will be on every single episode, and the rest of it will just be based off what we've seen, what we think you guys have seen and want to watch, and then we'll just change that weekly.
Yeah.
So I think other than that, guys, that's pretty much everything we have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, hit the subscribe button. We're still on the way to the 1,000.
Yeah, we appreciate every sub, every comment. We go over as much as we can every week. It's not always easy replying to all of them, but
yeah. And in this episode, I'm gonna maybe try posting some of these on the subreddits for the anime we talked.
Yeah.
See if we can bring some new people in. See if we don't get banned from any of those subreddits.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think we should start taking bets on how many we get banned from.
You got to risk it to get the biscuit sometimes. So if we had to get banned from a few just to get a couple extra followers, so be it. And as always, if you guys have any place you could promote us or feel like promoting us, you do not have to. But if you've got like a Discord with friends in it, or even just chat with friends or anything like that, and you want to let them know if they're anime fans about our podcast, we appreciate that. And I think other than that, guys, we'll be back next week for episode number 45. I've been Cam.
And I've been Jimmy.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.